Morning, live streamers. Got the Perfect Strangers theme song rolling. Patrick's already working hard. Who's up with us first this morning? DC. And boy.
This is not a situation where we're like desperate for quarterbacks. It's not like I walked around the corner to the Budweiser distributorship and went to the loading dock and asked if any of those guys played high school quarterback, or went down to Fox, a bar last night, seeing if anybody was a high school quarterback. We're not in that situation. We've got somebody here on our team that can help us and increase the competition in the quarterback room.
Shane Beaver making quite the move yesterday with Zeb Nolan coming off the coaching staff as a graduate assistant onto the field, putting on number 25 and adding to the quarterback depth. Welcome in. Hope your Wednesday morning is also a good start. Notable day for Gamecock football in a lot of ways. It starts with a guy that I got to play golf with in the Birdies for Beamer. We rode him around the cart for 4 hours or so. Zeb Nolan, a guy who is best buddies with Trey Lance. After their time together at North Dakota State, Nolan started at Iowa State and played well against Oklahoma while Shane Beamer was there. That's one of their connections. His dad's a high school football coach in the state of Georgia. It didn't work out for him at North Dakota State last spring, where he started as a starting quarterback. Didn't end that way, so even though he had a year of eligibility left, saw the graduate assistant opportunity pop up at South Carolina, decided to come to Columbia, started his coaching career. Luke Doty goes down, and now he's on the football field with one last year of eligibility, no promises, nothing like that. Shane Beamer addressing that situation yesterday, other quarterbacks speaking yesterday, Luke Doty, Colton Gothier, that we've been pronouncing incorrectly. Way too French, I think, for the other Georgia native at quarterback for the Gamecocks. And he had a lot of interesting things to say, I thought. Jason Brown also speaking yesterday. Connor Jordan, the other walk-on quarterback. Very notable day, I thought, for Gamecock football. And we'll let you hear some of the best of what was said yesterday as we roll on this morning. Patrick Perrette and I with you. Bill Gunter going to be filling in for Klein one last afternoon day from 4 until 7. Patrick is filling in for Jen this morning, producing from the Herndon Chevrolet studios. Patrick, what do you make of everything that went down yesterday? Most notably, a graduate assistant coming off the coaching staff and on the playing field.
No, most notably is that we've been saying this name wrong. Where did Gothier come from? Who started that? I thought we were nailing, and I thought we did our research and that was right. Even when he committed, we discussed this. What is the pronunciation? I thought somebody told us that it was Gothier.
Yeah, I think we did that whole got corrected by someone that didn't know what they're talking about. Yeah, but it's not a big deal. Gothier said people have been mispronouncing my name my whole life. No big deal.
I understand. People have been mispronouncing my name my whole life too. So.
Yeah, that's why you need to start with it.
Well, people go too French with my name too. Everybody thinks it's Perret.
Mm-hmm. So you feel a kinship, a connection with
I understand his pain. I just go with it.
He didn't seem pained at all. He's like, yeah.
No, I think that was one of the big takeaways. We got a pretty chill quarterback room.
Chill quarterback room.
I mean, I guess Jason Brown, chill's not the first word that I would say for him, but pretty laid back and a fun guy. Colton Gothier, definitely first word that comes to mind is chill. Mostly because of the hair, but
okay.
I think they're all pretty mature. I guess I wanted to do research, but I don't even know how to begin. Has there ever been a grad assistant at any position that's ended up having to play meaningful snaps for a football team? Like a big-time football team?
I'm sure it's happened at some levels. I was going to say, I'm sure it's happened at other levels, but not at the SEC level that I know of. And this situation unique because of the extra year granted from COVID, right? This is why the traditional name delineations for players and their eligibility are kind of out the window, right? Freshman, sophomore, whatever, you're going to have fifth and sixth year seniors now. And it's just absolutely unique. The question is, how do you translate it, right? Because it's easy to say basically what Shane Beamer was, say, the opposite of, right? That, oh man, the Gamecocks are in such bad shape in their quarterback room now that they have to pull the GA off the staff and put them on the field. Well, I get saying that, I guess, but I also understand where Shane Beamer's coming from. And to only have three quarterbacks on your team participating in the SEC is a bit mind-blowing, especially what Oklahoma, I think they had six. I'd say six is the typical number for a major college football program. You usually have a walk-on or two that handles most of the scout stuff. And from my perspective, that's what Zeb Nolan has signed up to do, is to run scout stuff, help in practice, help sit in quarterback meetings, and just give his perspective. I did find it interesting. I guess he was with Justin Stepp and the receivers, and now he's basically switched from the receiver room to the quarterback room. But doing it from a coach to a player is an interesting transition for sure. Man, I really enjoyed hanging out with him and playing a round of golf. Like I mentioned right afterwards, boy, that dude, he can hit it. He can hit it, and he loves football. And just to hear him talk about his relationship with Trey Lance, what good buddies they are, and what a good person Trey Lance is. I thought that was really interesting. Obviously, growing up the son of a coach in the state of Georgia, he's a hunting, fishing guy, close to his family, close to his brother. I know. Seemed like an overall good dude that was just ready to get his coaching career started. And now making a little pivot, making an adjustment. Me, I don't think it's in the big picture, Patrick. I think we would all be shocked if Nolan ends up getting on the field. I think it'd actually be a pretty good thing if you get the opportunity for a graduate assistant to get on the football field. I would think it would be when you are up big and you're just doing that to reward a guy. I don't see the Gamecock football situation getting to the, in case of emergency, press glass so that the GA has to go in because he's your best option at quarterback situation. What about you?
I'm just so confused by the whole situation. I mean, when you talk to him, did he mention any? Has he been throwing and being ready? Like, did he come here with any thought of it in his mind of, I might play? Has he been throwing all the time and expecting to play? Because I assume that his setup now is he's getting his grad school paid for to be a coach, right? So it's like it's just a grad school scholarship. I mean, he presumably could have gone to another school and gotten a scholarship to be a quarterback on that roster, right?
Presumably. And North Dakota State was one of those schools that pushed their season there at FCS. So I guess all FCS schools pushed their season from the fall to the spring, right? And towards the end of that spring season, they announced that Nolan wouldn't be back, even though he had another year of eligibility. I think once it didn't work out there, he kind of did what a lot of players do and kind of saw the end there and decided to move on.
Okay.
Yeah, he could have, I guess, transferred to a third school at that point and pursued the playing career one more time, basically like Jake Bentley's doing, right? South Carolina to Utah and now to South Alabama is where Jake's going to finish out his career. But he was ready to coach. That was the next opportunity. No, he didn't say anything about playing, anything about – he seemed set on moving on to that next level. He was talking about how much, he was learning from Marcus Satterfield and how he likes to coach protections. He basically coached Trey Lance up from the sidelines and the whole thing during their playing career at North Dakota State. And he really enjoys it. and now he's on the football field. Now back out there. To me, it seems like the flexibility that he had in this situation, that everyone's taking advantage of it to some degree, if that makes sense. And yeah, it's awfully unique in so many ways. Have a graduate assistant now take the snaps at quarterback during preseason practice.
Yeah.
But again, in the overall big picture, don't see this having a massive effect or much of an effect at all on what we see on Saturdays during 2021.
No, you wouldn't think so. It came out of nowhere. We could have done a 12-hour show just scraping the bottom of the barrel for Gamecock football topics to come up with. And I don't think that we would have thought of this. It never even remotely crossed my mind that it was even a possibility. And the fact that Shane Beamer said they've been talking about it even before Luke Doty went down, that maybe we'll just suit Zeb up and get him some reps. It's just a wild situation that I certainly didn't see coming. I guess I can't really see a situation where it's a bad deal. I mean, having a coach, I guess, go through the actual motions instead of just watching, I guess just is a good way to coach, but it also seems weird if the other guys are just better than him and he's trying to coach them up and he's trying to tell Colton Gothier to do something this way, and Gothier's looking at him like, dude, I'm doing it better than you are right now. What are you talking about?
I think that's a little bit too simplistic. One of the highest levels.
I guess so, yeah.
Not exactly how it works. I think it's more of like, hey, the protection should have been this on this play because of this.
Yeah.
As opposed to, hey, man, you shouldn't have thrown it there.
Right.
That's what I really liked about Gothier yesterday, was saying how practice, he took some advice, I guess, about how Zach Wilson had talked about practice previously, former BYU quarterback, now with the Jets, and it's his time to figure things out, to figure out whether he can make a certain throw or to try things not quite sure of. And his openness, I think, is what struck me listening to him talk for about 15 minutes yesterday. Just and maybe it's some naivete, maybe it's just his outlook on life, where he's a guitar guy. He's going to play at the rookie talent show tonight. He was talking about what a tough crowd it's going to be, and I think he's legitimately concerned about getting hit in the head with a water bottle if he doesn't hit the right notes. Maybe it's just that honesty or his sense of humor, just the way he puts it. But he was really interesting to listen to yesterday in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think he just gets it. He said Zach Wilson. I'm sure you guys have heard Zach Wilson's comments. I would have never attributed that to Zach Wilson. I didn't know Zach Wilson has been discussing things like that. But yeah, that's just what you hear. I mean, it was this offseason that people started freaking out because the beat reporters announced that Tua Tagovailoa threw 5 interceptions in practice. And everyone started freaking out, saying, oh boy, they got to trade for Deshaun Watson right now, or Tua's not going to be the guy. And then after practice, Brian Flores was like, yeah, I told him to just try and make every single throw. Just do whatever you want, figure it out, go for it, throw it into crowds, add anything. Just, you need to understand what throws you can and can't make at this level. So I think he just gets it. I think all of them just kind of get it. They know the situation. I think Gothier understands his place, understands what he needs to do, what he needs to get better at, and kind of exactly where he is in the pecking order and how he can move up. I was impressed by the kid for just a couple of months out of high school. He's done a good job.
You're going to be able to hear a bunch from him as we move on this morning. Let's go ahead and play actually what we're kind of talking about here, number 10, I think, in front of you there, Patrick, from Colton here yesterday. Also, want to let you hear a little bit more from Shane Beamer just about why he made the decision to pull Zeb Nolan onto the football field as a graduate assistant. Let's go ahead and start with Colton Gothier right here.
In a good way. Like that's how we need it. So for me, it's really just continuing to learn. Like, I'm still young. There's going to be times where I make really dumb decisions, really stupid things, not knowing the situation completely. But that's good for me because I'm getting a lot of reps, so I'm able to learn from that a lot quickly. A lot of the other guys. And that's the biggest thing for me, is like just going in there and making those mistakes. I mean, you guys, I'm sure, have heard practice. Like, practice is the time to Can I fit that throw in there? No, okay, I can't. Okay, like he kind of going through the same process as I am. Is like, if I check this, is this gonna work or do I? Okay, this won't work. Let me go back to this. Like, now is that time for me to kind of play around and learn from my mistakes and continue to grow, which I believe I have been.
True freshman Colton Gothier in the mix now at quarterback in a different way, I guess you could say, with Luke Doty out injured. Doty speaking yesterday. I'll let you hear what he had to say about that injury when we come back and certainly discuss his situation. Wanted to take you to break with more from Shane Beamer about why he made the move to add to his quarterback depth and bring Zeb Nolan from a graduate assistant to now a quarterback, a guy who started his career at Iowa State, played well when Shane Beamer saw him in person against Oklahoma in one game, didn't end up earning a starting role there for an extended period of time. A guy like Brock Purdy, a guy named Brock Purdy, ended up beating him out there. He transfers over to North Dakota State, battles Trey Lance. Trey Lance obviously wins that job and goes on to be a top 3 pick in the NFL. They're best buddies. And Nolan ended up getting a few starts, handful of starts, I think it was in the spring for North Dakota State, then decided his football career should start with coaching and a graduate assistant, and now it's back on the playing field. Here's part of the explanation from Shane Beamer as to why as we head to our first break of the morning. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
It wasn't like we were discussing it before Luke got hurt. We were, just from a depth standpoint, it's not a reflection of our quarterback room at all. Fact of the matter is, I would say most college football programs in the country, I don't know, I haven't called every single program, but I can't imagine any of them are practicing with only 3 quarterbacks right now.
Hey, we've got a way to help you with that Zoom call for work. You know when the mute button is
So I visualize that last night or yesterday, you might have been sitting in your recliner when you hear the news of Gamecock football, and might made you sit up a little bit. The important part about that I want to talk about now is sitting in that recliner. I suggest if you're looking or even thinking about getting a new recliner, you head over to Daniel Spine Furniture and Bedding, back of the airport in West Columbia. Daniel Spine Furniture, known for the 3 B's: best furniture, best service, and best price. And their specialty is that motion furniture. That's the reclining sofa, love seats. They have their leather gallery. As soon as you walk in, it's over on the right. It's where the hardwood floor is, and you can go try out all their recliners. And the thing about Daniel's is it's not a big box store where you're just a number or a nameless, faceless customer. What Daniel and June Clark want to do is what they've been doing for the last 25 years, make you part of the family and get you exactly what you need, not just this time, but in the future, for years to come. They want you to be part of their family. They're going to treat you like family. They'll sell you the recliner right off the floor. If you want it now, you can buy it now. You live within 20 miles of the store, free delivery, just like that. Doesn't have to be difficult at Daniel's. So when it's time to save, it's time for Daniel's. Fine furniture and bedding, that is. Go see them. 3911 Edmond Highway, West Columbia, at the back of the airport, Highway 302 in Dunbar Road. All right, a little different today with just 2 of us on the live stream. I think it's going to need more chirping from you guys. Quiet group so far, just mornings. No hot takes? You're on mute, by the way, Patrick. I tried to unmute you there. Oh, he's doing some traffic updates, doing his job over there, working hard. He's already in and edited 15 different sound bites for us this morning. Getting the traffic updates rolling. Got the mustache. No wonder he's got to wear a hat today. Didn't have time to style that hair. That's what I wanted to Thanks for the heads up. I don't know what I can do about that other than try to switch internet stuff. Hope maybe it's going to be a little bit better here. Still got you on mute on the live stream there, Patrick. Attaboy. Impressive work getting all that done.
Yeah, I have to get in by 5:30 at the latest because I still don't have the right skimmer password.
Right.
So I have to be in to record the Sports Flash live.
And that work all right with the other gigs?
Yeah, I just told him there's certain mornings where I tell him like, hey, I gotta be out 5 o'clock latest this morning, and they're okay with it.
They're knocking it out, man.
Our experienced attorneys are ready to fight for you.
All right, now I gotta find Bill Spots.
800-915-8684. Again, that's 800-915-8684.
And I'm Dana Finley, owner of AAA Heating and Air. AAA Heating and Air will give you instant rebate of
Hard over there.
Offers full limited time, 15 years of worry-free operation. With 15 years financing, no money down for qualified buyers. Call AAA today at 677-5300.
That's a $1,500 rebate, 0% financing, no money down. Call AAA today at 677-1500.
I think I'm going to have to exit out of the live stream to play Bill's live spots.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Seems like that's the case.
All right, race fans, well, we're just weeks away from heading to Darlington Raceway, also affectionately known as the Lady in Black. The track is tough to tame, and that's where the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs begin on Saturday, September 4th. The Xfinity Series race, and then a doubleheader on Sunday. The Astro Cup Series race, followed by the Southern 500. It's going to be a fantastic weekend of racing. You do not want to miss. Get complete details, tickets, camping, and premium parking at darlingtonraceway.com. Now, there's a new ISP in the league after all Adams reached a 3-year contract. So pay $70 million.
The month.
There he is.
Yeah, got it. So yeah, I'm just gonna have to exit out of the stream to play this and then pop it back on.
Gotcha.
Cool. I don't know how bad it is for you to drink one of these whole things, but I'm for sure gonna do that. This Starbucks coffee thing.
Oh, yeah?
40 ounces.
Woo! Gonna be jittery, huh?
Not even jittery. It's just gonna be because these things are not good for you. 200 calories per 12 ounces, 3 servings per container, 600 calorie coffee.
Wow.
Yeah, probably not great. But I didn't have time to go. I packed a cooler and just stopped at Walmart on the way to work and bought one of those because I knew I was going to need coffee.
Oh, boy. So I'll come back to a liner on those remotes. Then would like to do number 2.
Okay.
Synthetic for $18.99 is not just a great deal. It's the brand you've been waiting for. Quality parts, healthy people. That's Napa know-how. Early game continues with Tim Hill and Joe Gunter on 107.5 The Game.
You're up.
Oh, tomorrow, special day for the early game, the halftime show, game time. Keep fine. All going to be out at Williams-Brice Stadium. Going to be hanging out in the Cockaboos Club, giving you some more details on the back-to-school specials for tickets starting tomorrow, going through Sunday, including tickets to the season opener for $18.01 to commemorate the start of the school back in 1801. You can go to GamecocksOnline.com/ticket, get yours starting tomorrow, I believe. The exact time that special becomes available, we'll have plenty more details again coming your way from Williams-Brice tomorrow. Right now, we're going to let you hear more from Shane Beamer about his decision to pull Zeb Nolan onto the field away from being a graduate assistant and to use that last year's eligibility as to create a little bit more depth at the quarterback position, especially knowing that he had a former quarterback, Kerryon Joyner, to choose from, and so could have possibly moved him over from wide receiver. That is not something that seemed very attractive to him at this point.
On two different fields, where we got half the team working on one field and half the team working on the other field, meaning there's going to be multiple quarterbacks on both fields, and when you only have three, and to get from a physical standpoint. And at the end of the day, one of the core values of this program is competition, and this is an opportunity to continue to increase the competition on this team and in the quarterback room as well, and then have a chance to make the team better.
Shane Beamer yesterday. Again, the news that he's pulling a graduate assistant, Zeb Nolan, off the field, former Iowa State quarterback who had transferred to North Dakota State, thought his playing days were over, moving on to be a grad assistant. Got to play some golf with them a couple of weeks ago at the Birdies for Beamer thing. Good football mind, I think, to hear his relationship with Trey Lance and some of his stories was really interesting. His dad's high school coach, so it was a natural progression for him. But I think this was a natural move for anybody who had the opportunity to do it, right? I mean, think about back in your playing days, Patrick. I know you played some college lacrosse. If you had a chance like this, I mean, how do you turn that down? If you can help the team in that way, like you go to help the program if you're coaching, right? I know you're starting your coaching career, getting a graduate degree, building the foundation for your own career, but the way you can do that best is to help the program you're at. And this seemed like not an obvious move necessarily, something that we never really heard of, but one that it does make a lot of sense in a lot of ways. I understand if you're a Gamecock fan out there, why you would see this as maybe something, if you're a doom and gloomer, I guess is what we're going to put you in that category after hearing from Shane Beamer on Saturday, that you would put in the category of, man, this is not a good situation. I mean, Patrick, can you imagine if Will Muschamp was still the head coach and this happened? I think it would be getting crushed across the country just with his reputation for quarterbacks. But to me, this is mostly a practice preparation move that Shane Beamer had the option to do, took advantage of it, and now they'll move forward. And again, come Saturdays, I don't see this having a major impact at all.
Yeah, I kind of feel like
it's
not even necessarily a preparation move in terms of him helping the other quarterback. I think it just might be logistics. Okay, we got all these wide receivers and all these different breakout groups. We need somebody to throw the balls. Like I've been in that situation when I coach high school lacrosse, and you only have 5 kids out there, and you need to run an offense. So I'll just say, all right, here, I'm going to stand on the top, and I'm going to pretend like I'm the point man of this offense, and then I'll show you what to do. Or like I've coaching my brother's or my sister's basketball team or something like that. Like, oh, we only have 4 on this side, 5 on that side. Like, just hop in there and play. Like, I just think it's probably a very obvious move to them because they're looking at practice and saying, man, we got no quarterback for field 4 right now, and we got to have Kerryon Joyner out there or Eric Kimry out there throwing passes when he should be coaching the tight ends. I think I would hope that it's mostly just, hey, we need somebody to throw passes, and Zeb's played the most recent football. He's got the freshest arm, so let's get him out there and he'll play. I think Beamer made a couple mentions that it's competition, and everything's competition, I guess, when you're on your level like this. But I do just feel like it's to get another body out there and keep everybody else fresh. You don't want, you mentioned it, you don't want Gothier and Brown to be sore every morning on their throwing arms because they've had to throw 1,000 passes because there's no one else to do it.
And let's hear one more comment from Shane Beamer, talking about the situation exactly, about the possibility of Zeb Nolan getting on the football field this season on Saturday.
Nothing has been promised to anyone. I told Zeb, told the quarterbacks that he's going to come in here and he's going to compete like everyone else. And if he deserves the opportunity to play and can help us win football games, he will. And if he can't, he won't. And that's what I told him. That's what I told the quarterbacks. And, you know, frankly, I'll be honest with you, you wonder how that's going to go over with the team and things like that. It couldn't have been better.
And again, Shane Beamer talking about the move for Zeb Nolan from graduate assistant to the roster. I think it maybe there had been someone identified as a coach for longer. Nolan came in after spring practice, so didn't go through a spring as a coach, and I don't think was seen as that role. It was interesting going around with him on a golf course. I think he was referring – I know he was referring to Greg Atkins, the offensive line coach, as Coach Ad while we were there. I mean, again, he just came off the football field, just played this past spring, been a player his whole life. His dad was a high school coach, so understands the respect. So he was going to be in that interesting place of transition anyway, right? And probably, I know Shane Beamer was this guy for Tennessee. He and Marcus Satterfield at the same time back in the day, 20 plus years ago, I guess it is at this point, to where if you're a graduate assistant, I think one of the reasons why young graduate assistants are popular in major college football is you are a bit of a conduit between players and coaches, right? You're not a full-time assistant coach necessarily. I don't think you're seen as on the other side of the line completely by the players, because you're also respected for how recently you played and understanding the player's perspective. So you're almost in the middle there between the coaching staff and the players. And now it's just a relatively easy transition, I think, for everyone to make sure, just in case, instead of just having a graduate assistant kind of assigned to being a scouting quarterback in practice and the whole thing, well, if he's got a year of eligibility, this is a why not thing to me. Why not go ahead and throw him out there just in case? It's kind of worst case scenario and covering your bases there. Also, I give Shane Beamer some credit here. I think knowing this move would raise some eyebrows and create some buzz, not afraid to do it. And I think what we just heard is who Shane Beamer has told us he is, right? And told us this coaching staff was going to be honest, authentic, real. Like, hey man, if you're good enough, you'll play. And if not, you won't. And I think ultimately players respect that, because there are a lot of coaches out there who are maybe not afraid, maybe afraid is the wrong word of saying that, but who just can't say those things to someone's face because it's more difficult than to tell them, hey, I really want you in. I really think you deserve some playing time, and I'm going to do my best to do it. And then there's only so much time. There are 120 players in the program, basically. And ultimately, it doesn't happen. And I think that's where you hurt more feelings in the end than saying, hey, if you're good enough, you're going to play. And if you're not, you're not.
Well, I think it's easy to say that to the media. Because, I mean, that's just what coaches do. They just preach, yeah, the best players are going to play. I think it's a little harder to tell a player to his face, yeah, you weren't as good. But, I mean, that is the clear message when you're not the starter. I don't know that you want to break it as I guess just straightforward as that. Like, sorry, Luke Doty's better than you. Sorry, Jason Brown's better than you. But I mean, that is the best when anybody's not playing, right?
Sure, but it's how you deliver it, and that's what we've been talking a lot about here in this transition period. The difference in styles, the difference in management styles that we're seeing between Will Muschamp and Shane Beamer. Just to hear all of this, I mean, would Will Muschamp have come off the practice field and explained the reason why he made this move right out of the gate? and kind of gotten out in front of it? Or would he have let this slide and then weeks down the line say, yeah, it's not a big deal. We just did that for practice. And that's it. To me, that's exactly how he would have handled this thing. And an example of the disconnect that he created, or he certainly didn't avoid during his time between players, coaches, and fans. And hearing from all the quarterbacks yesterday, I think Gamecock fans feel like they're relatively clued in now to the situation, as much as you can be from the outside looking in. So let's move on to Luke Doty, who I thought would be the overwhelming headliner yesterday's press conference. Turned out not necessarily. Doty saying, I think, what we expected him to say. Let's start with exactly how he sees things right now from his injury and where he's going from here.
Yeah, I mean, it is a midfoot sprain, and that's pretty much it. The recovery time is pretty good. It's definitely, we got definitely a positive outlook on everything. So right now, I'm just doing everything I can to get healthy and hopefully be back for week 1.
Says one of the things he prides himself on is bouncing back from injury, working through injuries. He had one that kept him out towards the end of his senior season in high school, kept, I think, his Myrtle Beach high school team from winning a second straight state championship. And the ability to move through this thing in the most mature way is a big part of this. Luke Doty's a young guy, true freshman last year, second year in the program, but hearing his outlook on things, pretty impressive, especially that part where he talked about being positive. He'll hear more about that here. Doty speaking a little bit more about that, about the positive mindset through this injury and not being able to get on the field for a few weeks.
It's really been positive. Obviously, it's not the best situation. Obviously, it's not an ideal situation, but like I said, it's football. Stuff like this happens. You get stepped on, you get injured, and you just got to kind of take it for what it is. It's definitely allowed me to kind of take a step back from the physical side of it and look at it from a mental standpoint, just going back and, watching film, preparing for Eastern Illinois, just some of the early scouting stuff, and just really diving into the playbook a little bit more, just doing what I can from more of the mental side of it, to make sure that I'm ready to go and I'm prepared for when I can step back out on the field.
Not long is what Luke Doty says it will take him when he gets to the point where he's ready to get back on the field. How long will it take him to be ready to play and be the starting quarterback for the Gamecocks? He says not long. And to me, not just from him, Patrick, I heard maturity from a lot of the guys who spoke yesterday. But Luke Doty has always struck me as a guy, kind of an old soul, wise beyond his years. Colton Gothier struck me as that kind of guy in maybe a different way, or has a different outlook on things. But saying the right things yesterday, I think, is how I translate what I heard from Luke Doty. We'll just have to see how this thing plays out from a physical standpoint. I think that what you really didn't want to hear is the woe is me, I can't believe this happened, it was just really terrible timing and the whole thing. Sometimes you can read between the lines. I didn't hear anything that raised my eyebrows when Luke Doty was speaking to make me think that he's not going to be able to handle this in the best way possible, whatever that might be.
Yeah, I think when he opened up and said, I didn't even realize it was as bad as it was, he continued playing and scored a touchdown. And I think the fact that it's not a really damaging injury shouldn't give him any sort of mental hurdles. I mean, it's going to be a little extra work after practice and after film, doing the rehab, and it's going to be a grind for the next couple of weeks just to get back, but it's not something that mentally is going to be an issue for him. I know that torn ligaments or ACLs and things like that can end up being mentally damaging going forward. I know Joe Burrow made some comments this year I get worried in the pocket sometimes when the pocket starts to collapse. I feel like I need to get rid of it earlier, and I don't want to get the knee hit, and I'm worried about that, but the first time I get hit, it'll be okay. Doty's not going to be worried about any of that. It's a foot sprain. And again, I don't know why Raphael texted in. Why do people keep reporting that it's a sprained ankle? I have no idea why that's continuing to happen, but hopefully it will stop now that Doty himself has said, it's just a midfoot sprain. So I don't know why why that's being misreported and it's making people more concerned than they actually should be. It's not a big deal, and I have all the confidence in the world that he's going to bounce back and be back to 100% in a couple weeks.
Rodney, this morning. Good morning, guys. You had to say his name, Muschamp. I mean, he is the last head coach at the University of South Carolina on the field. I guess did have the interim coach. I mean, you want to talk about Mike Bobo more? I get it. Shane Beamer's the guy now, moving forward. And we'll continue to hear from him, continue to hear from Luke Doty, the true freshman quarterback in Colton Gothier as well. Had a lot of interesting things to say. Jason Brown speaking yesterday as well, the senior transfer from St. Francis in the FCS program. Now that the quarterback position much more in flux than it was with Luke Doty as the starter, out injured for the next several weeks still, as you just heard from his voice or from himself. And then we'll see officially questionable for that September 4th season opener against Eastern Illinois. 803-404-6100 is the number. Love to hear your opinions, whether you're calling from the Love Chevy phone lines or texting on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Same number, 404-6100. It's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game. The game is on the air, online, on your phone or tablet, on the app, Alexa, Siri, in your gym locker.
The month of August is upon us. That means kids heading back to school, maybe the start of soccer or football practice, maybe cheerleading for your family, all kinds of things you've got to do now that require a great night of sleep along with your daily life of going to work. Bill Gunner for Sleep Number. I put my Sleep Number setting on 60. Wake up rested, refreshed each and every day, ready to tackle whatever challenges I've got. You can do the same. Discover the Sleep Number 360 smart bed right now during the biggest sale of the year. All beds are on sale. Save 50% on the new limited edition smart bed plus special financing. Subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com for details. For a limited time only, 2 stores to choose from. One in Irmo on Harbison Boulevard across from Buffalo Wild Wings. The other in Columbia, 2 Notch Road across from Sand Hills Mall. You can always visit them on the web, sleepnumber.com. Right now, the biggest sale of the year. All beds are on sale. Make the switch to Sleep Number today and find out what a great night of sleep is truly like.
And for the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center, Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality, shepherdsglass.com. A couple accidents to report. The first is going to be a crash with injuries in Columbia. Just reported I-77 southbound at Forest Drive, exit 12. Also got a disabled vehicle I-26 eastbound after exit 108A. And an accident in Lexington, Old Barnwell Road near Emmanuel Church Road.
Sponsored by Discover. Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year. It's amazing because Discover is accepted at 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report limitations apply.
This is Colonel Chris Williamson of the South Carolina Highway Patrol. The consequences of DUI are staggering. More than 300 lives are lost each year in South Carolina due to bad decisions. That's why we're all counting on you to do the right thing. Call a taxi, book a ride, or text a friend, because you're only one bad decision away from a lifetime of regret. Drink, drive, die. A sober slammer message from the South Carolina Department of Public Safety.
Hi, my husband and I own a small business in Columbia, and we ended up needing some help with some tax problems that we had and needed to get resolved. We initially owed about $300,000, and John Ecton and his law firm ended up giving us an offer in compromise, which dramatically reduced the amount owed. I would personally recommend the Ecton law firm. They did an excellent job for us, and if this is a concern you're facing, they're definitely the people you should call.
It's great to know we have changed people's lives for the better. Hi, this is local attorney John Ecton with the Ecton Law Firm. For over a decade, our office has been dedicated to
tax problems for good. So if you have
I was just the speaker thing was on.
So I'm such a dummy. I've been talking that whole time, and you guys haven't even been able to hear me. What a dummy. I have to plug in this little thing here and then push a button so you can hear, like when we play the sound bites or hear somebody on the phone.
We probably need to keep that thing on for pretty much every segment though, because you are I don't know what's going on with the camera.
In and out.
No,
so
no.
does that mean Go ahead.
You're basically just a still photo that every couple seconds will change to another spot as you talk.
Oh, weird.
It's just very, very slow. Whatever's going on with the internet. I saw one of your hand cues, but I can't see them all. But I was just piecing it together with context.
Weird. Nice work. Well, but the audio hasn't been affected on the live stream?
Oh, I don't know if it's been on the live stream or not, but it hasn't been over the air. Whatever the issue is has not affected the access unit at all.
Yeah, I figured that. I just wonder if my video connection on the live stream stinks, if the audio that I'm trying to play through here as well would end up stinking too.
Oh, I popped it on for a second just to see if you had it playing or not, and it sounded fine, I think.
Cool. Haven't seen too many complaints in. So let's play one coming back. What should we play here? How about number 13? 13 when we come back?
Got it. We're coming back.
This is 107.5. And now, back to the early game. For better or worse.
So it's really unfortunate. You know, that's my brother Luke. The team definitely felt it. We could feel it in team meetings when he got hurt, but it's also an opportunity for someone else to step up and show what we can do.
True freshman from the state of Georgia, 3-star recruit Colton Gothier. They're speaking at length yesterday for about 15 minutes or so. Really interesting listen, and we'll continue to play more of his comments as we roll on this morning, talking about the reaction
of the team of the Luke Doty injury when it happened Friday night, and I guess the news probably go throughout the whole team on Saturday. He actually elaborated there. Said Shane Beamer came into the quarterback room that Saturday morning before the scrimmage. Said, "Hey, we're going to smile today, and if you don't, I'm going to be mad at you." So, kind of further proof what we talked about yesterday, Patrick, that doom and gloom comment that he made after practice in the press conference there was just as much, if not more, for his own team than for fans out there, anybody on message boards or anything like that.
Yeah, and I don't think he had to worry about his own team as much as he did the fans. I think they all, when they're working together every day, they're all feeding off each other's energy, and I don't think they were going to let one injury affect them. But I mean, Beamer had to project that, and I think it's working. I was glad to hear Gothier say that, though, because I was curious if they were going to go the route of, I mean, hey, next man up, my name might be called next. I think he split the difference of saying, look, I'm hurt for my buddy. It stinks that Doty, who is a leader and has taught me a lot, is down, but you know, it is next man up. Now I have a chance to compete, and this is why I came here. So I thought everybody handled it well. I don't know who coached him up. I don't know if it was Steve Fink or if they did anything or if this is just them giving their honest opinions, but I thought they all did a great job yesterday.
Do you think that regardless of how Doty feels, that they'll sit him for one more week of rest in the season opener? Good question. Anonymous texter hit us up at 803-404-6100. We'll discuss hour number 2 coming up.
Clear.
All right, I'm going to run upstairs real quick at my house. Be right back, Patrick. See if you can actually talk to people instead of just thinking that you're talking to them and not even be able to talk.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear you, Love.
Yeah. Make sure
You can just talk about your boy Tebow or watching football.
Oh yeah, we did not. I guess we're not going to be able to talk about Tim Tebow, but I do feel like I called that a couple weeks ago. So there's no way he was going to make that team, and didn't even make it out of training camp after the first preseason game. Tebow's always a very controversial subject, though. I wonder if anybody's going to text in saying they did him a disservice or what, but I assume you guys saw some of those videos. If you're on Twitter, I assume some of you saw those videos of him attempting to block. It was not great, to say the least.
Automated promotion tracking, so you can get your favorite GAF roofing products even when working remotely. Now order on Beacon Pro Plus and get a $175 gift card and a chance for a
Ron Rivera on PMT today, Jesse? Really? I'll have to check my podcast thing right now. Let's see.
Gift card after mailing rebate when you purchase 4 or more select Iridium smart plugs. Put the pet back in your car. Visit your local O'Reilly.
Oh, yes.
Or shop O'ReillyAuto.com.
Did you listen to it, Jesse? Or did you just see that he was on there? Let's see. 40, 20. Looks like he did 30 minutes. I will probably listen to that as soon as we get out of here today, because I don't know if Ron Rivera is going to respond well to those guys. He's very serious. I don't know if he has it in him to acknowledge jokes or to be funny. I guess we'll find out. PMT is, pardon my take, the Barstool podcast, and neither of those guys are serious. It's very much like a comedy / sports podcast, and it's usually pretty clear when they have somebody on there that doesn't have a sense of humor, and it doesn't turn into great radio. I'm a little nervous about Ron Rivera on there. Hope he makes us look good.
Rivera for what?
Jesse just said that Rivera's on Pardon My Take.
Thanks for the feedback there, Raphael. Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a PMT type of guy.
Gruden was, right? Jay Gruden, that's
yeah, Jay Gruden definitely was that type of guy. He was, yeah. I know there's some famously bad interviews on there where whoever the publicist is for those people didn't let him know. I think Dak Prescott's was like all-time bad because he had no idea what was going on. And I think after you can hear him at the end of it say something like, "That's the worst interview I've ever done," or like, "What the heck just happened?" or like something along those lines, where he knew that did not go the way it was supposed to go.
But what do you mean exactly? Just that they are completely working blue and kind of off the rails, and he was very corporate.
Yeah, like they'll ask a funny question. Like, I don't even know what they would have asked Dak, but like, I don't know, like how many times has Jerry Jones brought you on the bus with prostitutes or something like that? Something that's clearly a joke, and Dak would just answer it like, "Yeah, I'm just here. I just play football, and I just want to do whatever I can to help the team win," and just give like cookie cutter answers. It doesn't. You can't do that on that platform. It doesn't reflect well on you. Who was it? Was it Dan Patrick or somebody who went on there that just kept saying, "Yeah, I'm just here to talk about Gillette" or something? I think it was Gillette.
Oh, I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
I think it might have been.
I know Alshon had a pretty famously bad one back in the day.
Who?
Alshon Jeffrey.
Just being short with answers, or
yeah, it was just.
It was Matt Harvey saying, "Yeah, I'm just here to talk about Qualcomm."
There you go, Jesse.
Yeah. Oh, he just got it. Yeah, I had to Google it. It was brutal. Like they would ask him a question about anything, and he wouldn't even entertain the sports question for a second. It's usually pretty well understood. Like, hey, we'll get you on, and we'll either get the sponsor stuff right out of the way right off the bat, or we'll get to it right at the end and get your plug in.
Speaking of a guy who will be the exact opposite of that interview, we're going to have Marty Smith on with us tomorrow at 8.
Nice.
I mean, you talk about a guy who gets it. That's how he made his career.
What's how he made his career?
He just gets it.
Just getting it. That is his.
He gets who he is. He gets what people connect to.
He's got nothing to plug. Everyone in this area knows who Marty Smith is. How would Marty Smith play on a Los Angeles morning sports talk show?
How would he what?
How would he be received? Would they be like, "Oh, this guy's awesome," or would they just not get him?
Who's that?
If he was on like an LA show, because I said he doesn't need to pitch anything here because everyone in South Carolina listening to this station knows who Marty Smith is.
Well, that's the thing. Like, he wouldn't be in his role if ESPN didn't think he played at least to some degree in Los Angeles. You know what I mean? If it appeals to everyone.
Does he?
Wait.
Is he exclusively SEC Network now, or is he still always on ESPN?
Oh, he's ESPN, man. He's college football game day. He's as big as it gets.
Yeah, but he's not one of the panelists.
No, but he's like the on-site guy. I think he went from like the Kentucky Derby to U.S. Open or whatever in golf as well this summer. I mean,
but Marty and McGee is a SEC Network show, right?
Right. That's correct. But the TV gig is, ESPN is as good as the gig gets.
You want anything off the top here?
Yes. Let's do number 3 again.
Desperate for quarterbacks. It's not like I walked around the corner to the Budweiser distributorship and went to the loading dock and asked if any of those guys played high school quarterback, or went down to 5 Points and was at a bar last night seeing if anybody was a high school quarterback. We're not in that. Got to somebody here on our team that can help us and increase the competition in the quarterback room.
Shane Beamer yesterday, after 10 Gamecock practices, including now adding a graduate assistant in Zeb Nolan to the roster, a guy who had come to South Carolina to start his coaching career after North Dakota State didn't quite work out for him this past spring. Before that, it was at Iowa State. One of his best games, I guess the best game of his college career, came against Oklahoma and Shane Beamer at the time. And now he'll have a chance to possibly get on the field for Gamecock football. Welcome into hour number 2. Notable day in a lot of ways. Heard from a lot of different Gamecock football players yesterday. We will let you hear as we continue to roll on this morning. Patrick Perrett and I, who's producing from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. You can follow Patrick at _Patrick Perrett on Twitter. Going to let you hear more from Shane Beamer, Luke Doty, Colton Gothier, the freshman quarterback from Georgia, who's in the mix now, as well as Jason Brown, the transfer quarterback from St. Francis, and the graduate assistant, Zeb Nolan, adding some depth for sure. And again, Patrick, we spoke about it a lot in hour number 1. I think we're pretty much in agreement here that this is a a move more up function than it will be function for practice and the program and how it operates on a large scale, as opposed to what we'll end up seeing on Saturdays. And I think we'll both be very surprised if we see Zeb Nolan taking snaps on Saturday this season for the Gamecocks. Agreed?
Yeah, agreed. I think we might disagree on how Shane Beamer should have conveyed that because we did listen to the soundbite earlier where he said, look, if he's good enough, he's going to play. I think he probably should have just said, yeah, basically we need another guy to throw passes. He's not in the mix here, because I think people are just going to get carried away no matter what. Clemson fans are going to laugh and say, look, South Carolina's got a coach playing quarterback, and I would have just immediately put out any potential fire and said, hey, if you see that guy you don't recognize, that's Zeb Nolan. He's a grad assistant. He just played for North Dakota State a couple months ago, and he's just here to throw some passes in practice, but he is a coach. Just a heads up.
But he's not just a coach. He's a player now. Let's listen to that exact soundbite, and then we will discuss further, see exactly how much we disagree on this situation with Zeb Nolan being added to the quarterback room for Gamecock football yesterday.
Nothing has been promised to anyone. I told Zeb, I've told the quarterbacks that he's going to come in here and he's going to compete like everyone else. And if he deserves the opportunity to play and can help us win football games, he will. And if he can't, he won't. And that's what I've told him. That's what I've told the quarterbacks. And, frankly, I'll be honest with you, you wonder how that's going to go over with the team and things like that. It couldn't have been better.
And then Beamer elaborating, just saying that how well received Nolan was. And when, to me, this also shows just emotional IQ, I guess is the best way to put that, being able to relate to people as opposed to just making a decision because you're in charge. And I think that might be the mistake that a lot of first-year head coaches make, right? They feel like they have to make their mark or something. Like you were saying, Patrick, to me that comes across as almost like a dictator saying, yeah, he's not going to play. But Shane Beamer goes and asks the older guy on his team, like a good coach does, like, hey, just testing the waters. This is what I'm thinking. Where are you guys at on this? What kind of pushback or what am I missing? What do you think? Said they're all good with that. And went and asked some more players. Hey, what do you guys think? To me, it's a sign of security. And also what you were saying is that some fans will get carried away and then other fans will think this. Absolutely. Absolutely that's happening. And how much does that matter to Shane Beamer and the program? Absolutely none. To me, that's the sign of a secure leader as opposed to going out there and just overthinking it or thinking you have to put out a message to avoid certain PR. I appreciate that honesty. If he's good enough, he's going to play. And if he's not, he's not. It's that simple. Everything else is pretty immaterial. And that was the example of what we just heard, I feel like, of who Shane Beamer has advertised he is and his coaching staff is going to be. And I think it's ultimately a really, really good thing for Gamecock football and a refreshing thing for Gamecock fans to hear after Will Muschamp certainly had a different outlook on things.
Does he have a locker now in the team locker room?
I'm sure.
Or is he getting dressed in the coach's locker room and then?
He's a player. He switched. He made the switch. He's a player now. Has eligibility, plays well enough, he's going to play. I think from the Gamecock football standpoint, that would not be a good sign. Even though, hey, nobody else has played right now anywhere close to the snaps that Zeb Nolan has played in major college football, which isn't a ton. I think he threw for 1,200 yards at Iowa State, and 360 of those came against Oklahoma and Shane Beamer several years ago. Then I think he might have started 7 games somewhere like that in that neighborhood at North Dakota State in this last spring, and ended up as a starting quarterback at the end of the season. So he thought the playing career was done. Now, just a little crack, a little light, I think, left. And to me, this is a move that you make to make sure you don't regret not making the move later on in life. Does that make sense, Patrick? there are some things I feel like in life that you do to make sure that you don't end up regretting not trying. Because, I mean, the odds of him getting on the field or making an impact in the SEC and this becoming a Cinderella story with a happy ending that sees him playing well and moving on to professional football, nothing. But right now, that chance exists, very small chance. And basically what he's doing is helping the program. And that's what you go to do. I think this will be looked at very favorably later on in his coaching career as well. Hey, you're in that position. Could have been, to me, the more selfish move is to say, no, I'm absolutely not doing that. I came here to start my coaching career. That's what I'm going to do. I realize this could help you out, but no, thank you. To me, it seems to be right in line from what we've heard Shane Beamer advertise, how he's going to approach situations, and then the type of program he wants to create. Does that make sense? Or is that overstating it in your opinion?
No, that makes sense. So I just checked the roster because now he's a grad transfer, not a grad assistant.
Exactly.
Are we just talk about him that way?
Of course.
Also,
that's what he is.
He's not on the roster. Jake Helfrich, freshman, I guess, walk-on from Charlotte. Is he not with the team? Was his name mentioned yesterday?
I don't recall.
Shane Beamer said they only have 3 quarterbacks, right?
Right.
And that would be Gothier, Brown, and Connor Jordan. This kid's on the roster. Is he? I have no idea what's going on with that. But that would seem to make 4 quarterbacks.
Good question. Maybe we can get that answered here in the coming days.
Digging.
Could be an injury situation. Who knows? Could be one of those.
Oh, okay. I just typed it in on Twitter. Michael Espy on June 9th said that retweeted a tweet from this kid that said he needs heart surgery.
Okay, so obviously a medical situation that caused him not to be a part of the football program anymore. And again, this is more of a program deal as opposed to what we're going to see with the mostly 35, 40 guys who are contributing on the field on Saturdays, each and every Saturday throughout the fall. But is an interesting move in a lot of different ways for sure. Would love to hear more of your thoughts. And also, obviously not the only news of the day yesterday, another Gamecock transfer quarterback, notably in the news yesterday, Northwestern named Hunter Johnson its starting quarterback for week number 1, not Ryan Helinski. What'd you make of that news, Patrick?
Interesting. I thought that everything seemed to be trending. I guess you can't judge off social media, but I guess you also would have expected all the social media buzz would be behind Ryan Helinski because he's got a large following. But Hunter Johnson's a former 5-star, I believe. I think maybe the number 2 quarterback in the country in that class. I got to go back and look who was the number 1 in that class. But I guess not surprising. He has a lot of clear talent, but he's had opportunities at Northwestern and not been good. So I don't know if he's turned it on this year or this is final year. He's got everything figured out. But yeah, I saw lots of highlights even from the Northwestern football page of Helinski throwing passes, and definitely would have put my money on Helinski to win that job. But interesting decision. I guess we'll see. I would be surprised if Northwestern isn't as good as they were last year or drop a couple games early if we don't see Helinski in there. I assume it was a close battle.
And this is kind of the trend across the country, is as opposed to what's happening with Gamecock football, where the starting quarterback is now injured. And Colton Gothier was talking about it yesterday. Yeah, this decision doesn't need to be made until September 3rd. Other programs across the country are naming their starters to try to, I think, solidify. Well, Steve Spurrier always had that philosophy, right? You need to name a starting quarterback so we can kind of start getting behind him, giving him some confidence. He can be the leader type deal. Did not always happen in preseason practice, especially his last one, which was one of the main problems, I think, with Gamecock football at that point. But that was his preferred method, and obviously some other programs doing that across the country. Remember, Hunter Johnson started his college career at Clemson. Another big-time quarterback yesterday in the news as a tight end getting released from the Jacksonville Jaguars in Tim Tebow. And Patrick, you say that you feel like he called this thing. This was not what I expected to happen. I expected him to make the roster and be a part of that team in some way. This just seems like it's worst case scenario. Urban Meyer what were you doing? If I guess maybe you're just giving a guy a chance, and now you're at least showing that you're not giving him favorable. You're not giving ultimate favoritism when it comes to who makes the roster and who doesn't, and you move forward from here. Is that how you see it, Patrick?
Yeah, I mean, clearly Tebow wasn't even close to sniffing this roster. I said a couple weeks ago when we brought it up, when I heard that he wasn't catching with his hands, that he was body catching, that was an issue, combined with the fact that he's 5 inches shorter and 25 pounds lighter than the average tight end of the NFL, and blocking was not going to be his forte, that realistically, there's no way that he would merit making the roster as a tight end. And obviously went sort of viral the last preseason game with a couple blocks that were just kind of brutal. He just put his head down and spun around the guy. He did get in his way and was, I guess, an effective block. But yeah, the bottom line was he just wasn't good enough. I think this is something he can be proud of. I don't think it was bad for the Tim Tebow brand in any way. He was talked about quite a bit for the last couple months, and kept trying, I guess, kept his name out there, and now he's just going to go back to television, I assume. It's probably good that he got cut early because now he can just get ready for college football season, because he does a really good job on TV. But I would think, I will never say never, but I would think that this is the last we're going to see Tim Tebow playing professional sports. Maybe we'll see him in the G League next offseason trying to get ready to play basketball. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know. I'd say don't count him out. And again, I don't begrudge him at all. If it was me in that situation, I think it was most of us in that situation. Why not? Why not?
I don't think most people begrudged him, too. It was former players kind of begrudging the staff.
Right.
That way they were like, he clearly is not going to have what it takes. I mean, everyone was texting and got all upset about this because they were like, it's Tim Tebow. He's got the X factor. I mean, clearly he doesn't. He can't block. He's 6'2" or something like that. He's 100 pounds lighter than the guys he's trying to block. It's just not going to work.
Tyson weighing in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Davis Mills, the number 1 quarterback in the country coming out of high school in Hunter Johnson's class. Appreciate you contributing to the program, Tyson. If you would like to contribute, 803.
Jake Fromm, number 3.
Oh, interesting. Man, that's crazy. All over the board. 803-404-6100. If you would like to join the show, you can call or text. Looking forward to hearing from our favorite 87-year-old caller when we come back. Plenty more from Gamecock football and what they had to say yesterday as well. It's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game.
Head women's basketball coach.
Clear.
And you're listening.
All right. Actually going to talk to you, I think, this time, instead of just thinking that I'm talking to you and not having the right speaker or microphone. Lacrosse, seeing bobsled there on the social media. Morning, Alan. Man, the takes on Ryan Helinski just boggle my mind. Trey says, Timothy Tebow is 34 years old. He's old and slow. Heck of a college athlete, but his pro career peaked at the post route against the Steelers and the home run for the Fireflies. A lot better than most of us, that's for dang sure. Yeah, what a crazy career, man. The 7 touchdowns of Williams-Brice back in the day. One of the most dominating college athletes or performances I've ever seen. Just dominant. If you would have told me that South Carolina was going to end up beating Urban Meyer in Gainesville and win the SEC East in the relative near future, I would not have believed it that day. That's pretty funny. I'll try to remember to read that when we come back. Do you guys think it was Muschamp's plan all along to try to destroy two division rivals in South Carolina and Florida, then go back to his alma mater? Because if he did a great job. Florida bounce back. Hopefully we will soon with Beamer. That's Matthew from Landrum. Pretty good. Oh, great question, RL. I'm interested in that as well. I'm guessing it's getting ready for work day.
Very interested in that.
Oh, I hear you, Mark. So you're at that game. You made him stay the entire game. Those are true friends.
And what are people watch for RL's question? What are people watching on? Computers at the desk, TV, like
for sure.
Smart TV or phone.
Well, and these footballs behind me are courtesy of our little recreation league. So this is the first time I'm letting my boys play two sports. I'm doing flag football and coach pitch baseball this fall. I am because it's the easiest way to get them not to conflict and schedule wise. One of the reasons why I'm the coach of all of those teams. Yeah, I had to basically be that parent that I said I would never be and make my son play baseball because he just wanted to play flag football and played just that until this last spring, or actually winter. I pushed him to play basketball first just to expose him to different sports. He just wanted to play flag football. He loves it.
Should just get him playing lacrosse. They'll be the best in the area.
Don't worry, my nephews in Maryland play lacrosse.
Yeah,
and not baseball.
I think when they have they been exposed to lacrosse sticks and all that stuff?
My kids, yeah.
It's very intriguing when you see people running around with sticks and hitting each other. Going to a lacrosse game makes you really want to play lacrosse. Whatever happened to Bob Costas?
Yeah, NBC kind of ran him off, I think. Or he said he was done. I forget which. Or maybe Tirico kind of moved him out.
I feel like he had pink-eyed the Olympics and was never heard from again.
Yeah, it kind of was a thing.
I almost forgot. Like, he used to do a little monologue at halftime of Sunday Night Football, right?
Right.
I forgot that existed. It's been years since he's done that. His favorite sport is baseball, if anyone was wondering. It's the old-timey clip of the day.
He was the play-by-play announcer. I forget for which ABA team, but straight out of college in Syracuse, or maybe while he was still in college. That's how he got his start way back in the day.
Joe Buck got it, whatever the Hall of Fame award is this year.
Right.
The fact that he was calling NFL games at 24 years old is insane.
No doubt. I want to do more sound here, Patrick. I'm going to go with number 2, but I need to read. I need to do a little liner first.
Got it.
Cool. Thank you.
You're up.
Not this Friday, but next, a week from Friday, August 27th, 10 a.m., Charwood Golf Club is the place to be. 14th anniversary 1075 The Gate Golf Tournament, sponsored by Integrated Media. Going to have our hole-in-one sponsor, Buford Lending, out there. $10,000, the grand prize. Also on all of the par threes, going to have prizes for hole-in-ones. Going to give away a trip to Kiowa for the winning team. You can register right now as an individual or as a team, 4-person captain's choice format there. Just give Charwood a call. 803-755-2000 is the number. Panera breakfast, Little Pig's lunch included. Going to raise some money for Camp Cold in the process. Friday, August 27th, 10 a.m., Charwood Golf Club. Love to see you out there for our golf tournament. Right now, I want you to hear a little bit more from Shane Beamer yesterday, talking about the reasoning behind making Zeb Noland now part of
instead of a graduate assistant and playing quarterback.
I don't want to make the Carry On Joiner play full-time quarterback, and I'm not going to ask Colton, Connor, and Jason to be the only 3 quarterbacks that we have out there, and one, risk having their arms fall off because they're throwing the ball so much. 2, we do a lot of work, as you guys have seen, on 2 different fields, where we've got half the team working on one field and half the team working on the other field, meaning there's going to be multiple quarterbacks on both fields. And when you only have 3, that's kind of hard to do. And wanted to get to help those guys out from a physical standpoint. And at the end of the day, one of the core values of this program is competition. And this is an opportunity to continue to increase the competition on this team and in the quarterback room as well, and then have a chance to make the team better.
Again, Shane Beamer yesterday talking about Zeb Noland being added to the quarterback room, graduate assistant, has played at North Dakota State most recently in the spring, transferred there from Iowa State, where he lit up Oklahoma in his best game as a college quarterback, I think, when Shane Beamer was an assistant. His dad, Zeb Noland's dad, is a Georgia high school coach, and I got to play some golf with him in that Birdies for Beamer tournament, or golf outing, I should say, and just a football guy. Best buddies with Trey Lance, really good at the X's and O's, are really interested in it for sure, and just was ready to get his coaching career started. Clearly, that's going to be his path. He's a football guy. He's a hunting and fishing kind of guy, and now got an opportunity to get back on the field. Why not taking advantage of it? That's what I see. That's what I heard there. Panda hits us up. I don't know if this is completely a legitimate text in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Thoughts on putting Carry On Joiner back at quarterback and running a wishbone/triple option this year, since we have the pieces at running back? I mean, I guess we've kind of seen it. If Lynn Bowden didn't do it recently, Lynn Bowden at Kentucky, and have success with it, I guess maybe it's more of a ridiculous thought. But the fact that Shane Beamer doesn't feel like that's necessary right now, I think shows me that the Gamecock coaching staff at least has plenty of confidence that Luke Doty will return pretty quickly, and that their offense is not something that needs to do that. That was an emergency situation at Kentucky, I think, where you had to do it just to be competitive. Just 10 practices in, I think if you made that move, it would be an alarming move for sure. And that's when the panic button should be hit amongst Gamecock fans and company, not what they're doing now and just basically adding in a scout team quarterback in my mind. Patrick, what about you?
I don't know. If Marcus Satterfield really wants to prove how creative he is, he can just invent the 32 personnel and have 3 running backs out there with Kevin Harris, Marshawn Lloyd, and Juju McDowell. People want him on the field now. Just have to Carry On Joiner with those 3 guys behind him in a straight line, like a T. And then you put Nick Muse and Jaheim Bell out there. You got all your playmakers on the field at one time. How are you going to defend that?
Yeah, that would not be inventing it. That would be going back to the old T formation that Lou Holtz used to do, actually.
With 3 running backs?
Yeah. He would get them all on the field, and I think a lot of Gamecock fans in that period probably don't want to go back to that necessarily. It seemed
I don't know. Kevin Harris lined up right behind the quarterback for the downhill guy, right between the tackles, and then the 2 speedsters on either side.
Well, what about Zaquandre White? I mean, he's a guy that they love. You've seen.
I still think he should have stayed at safety. I thought he played well in his one game at safety.
All right. we'll talk more about the possibilities of the T formation or the wishbone. It's not coming back is what I'm seeing. And I think especially knowing Dakereon Joyner's path, quarterback, wide receiver, and the struggles at wide receiver, how he's getting talked up right now. I get Shane Beamer. I think that's the right move, man. You keep him out there. You don't bring him back and keep him in limbo. Saw Savell Newton on social media yesterday, the former Gamecock, saying, well, the way they moved me around was kind of all over the place too. I think that's a good sign for Dakereon Joyner as a wide receiver, that he gets to stay a permanent wide receiver at least, 97% of the time, Beamer told us the other day. We're out to the Love Chevy phone lines right now. Our favorite 87-year-old caller, Gamecock Larry, been waiting very patiently to weigh in this morning. I'm guessing talking about some Gamecock football, right, Larry?
Yes, sir. Gamecock football. That's all I talk about. Gamecock football. I don't worry about all this other stuff going on. But that's the difference in a coach and a defensive coordinator trying to be a coach. The first thing Muschamp would have done Saturday, he'd have yanked Dakereon Joyner back from wide receiver into the quarterback room. He don't care. He didn't care about the young men. He had his own. I don't know. I ain't gonna say nothing about Muschamp. I'm just aggravated with him.
Too late now.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I guarantee, I'm going to say it again to all you Bulldog fans. You ain't seen Muskrat, you wait, he won't last. They won't be 7 games before him and Smart to be butting heads on the sideline. That I won't get off of that. Made me forget what I wanted to say. But let me tell you, Doty is going to be back. We are going to be all right. Gamecock Nation, don't listen to Tim Hill. Tim Hill's all he's talking about is, well, he ain't talking doom and gloom, but he's getting pretty close to it. We're going to be okay. 12-0. 12-0 until we lose one. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Go Gamecocks.
Gamecock Larry. Glad to hear him fired up this morning. That was well done. Good call.
Talks about Muschamp, says I'm not going to talk about Muschamp. Talks more about Muschamp, but then follows it up with, all right, that's enough of that.
So Trey
Only
hit us up.
Larry.
Trey texts us in and says, I want to know who Larry wants to start at quarterback. Clearly, I heard he wants Luke Doty, or is confident anyway that Luke Doty will be back. We'll be back for the second half of the show right after this. Plenty more. Actually, hear from Luke Doty when we come back about his positive mindset now about that mid-foot sprain that he explained to us a little bit more yesterday. That's coming up next. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game. The game is on. Everywhere. On the air. Online. On your phone or tablet. On the app. Alexa. In the shower with you.
Get on out and see Daniel's Fine Furniture and Bedding, located at...
Oh, can you pop in if I have a live coming up at any point? I'm guessing I should have a zero rest.
Yeah, that's going to be the first
8 o'clock there.
Yeah.
See, Anthony knows how to hear Gamecock Larry. He gets it. Enjoys him being all over the place. I appreciate those of you out there who appreciate Gamecock Larry. Those of you that don't, I don't get you. I just don't get you. There's one of them.
Yeah.
One of them just texted that. Again, I see that one texter as like my personal test, my personal consistent test of how to deal with the absolute worst. That's how I choose to.
What is pulling up in?
I don't know. The other, what was it, yesterday? Yesterday is when the troll job, it got to the point where I wanted to respond on air. I've been listening for 45 minutes, and as usual, very little sports talked about. Not surprising, but maybe talk about the recruiting rankings Tim had so much energy about all summer. You should change this show's name to The Clown Show. I wanted to be like on air, like, yeah, okay, we might do that, but tell me, why would you listen to something for 45 minutes you just wanting to complain about? What are you doing with your life?
$75 towards your first sponsored job.
And then go on a rant from there, and then it just all evolves, and that's why I try to avoid that, Patrick.
Mom, I can't sleep.
I will always remember. I will always remember too your response to Bill about putting someone in their place.
Which one?
Was that Root Hog? I think. Like he's calling an 87-year-old man in the middle of the night. I think he's been put in his place. So that's what I try to consistently remember, man. People texting like that or dealing with other stuff, I'm sure, in their. Yeah, I don't know about that, T-Ray. I think Gamecock football fans got a lot of passion. Muschamp did suck a lot of that out, maybe, but listen on a Monday during the fall. You'll hear a lot of passion if that's what you're listening for.
Hi, this is local attorney John Exton. For over a decade, our office has dedicated to hardworking individuals and businesses with all the. So if you have years of unfiled tax returns or face higher everything that we tax needs, call our office today. 771-9844. Or go to ExtonLawFirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com. Let's get your tax files solved for good. Call today.
All right, I'll do another liner here. Then let's play another down bite there. We'll do number seven, Patrick.
Yeah.
Looking forward to tomorrow. They're letting us out and about. Going to be at Williams-Brice Stadium, the Cockaboos Club, the site of our shows all day long, starting here with the early game. Going to move out on throughout the day, the halftime show, and Heath Klein also going to join you live tomorrow from Williams-Brice Stadium. Going to tell you about the back-to-school season ticket specials, or just ticket specials. That includes $18.01 for the season opener in Eastern Illinois, September 4th. You can go to GamecocksOnline.com/tickets to learn more, and we'll give you all the details coming up tomorrow. Also tomorrow, 8 o'clock, Marty Smith, ESPN's Marty Smith, going to join us. He's known Shane Beamer for a long time, and looking forward to having Marty Smith on the show tomorrow at 8 o'clock. We'll be from Williams-Brice Stadium. Marty will be joining us via phone, but Bill and myself will be sitting in Williams-Brice Stadium at the Cockaboos Club. And Jay and Tommy, Heath Klein also going to be out at Williams-Brice tomorrow, taking in the sights and sounds. Maybe the live video stream might be a little bit more interesting tomorrow. Right now, I want to let you hear something interesting that Luke Doty had to say yesterday in the media availability, where we heard from Colton Gothier, the freshman quarterback. We heard from the transfer quarterback and Jason Brown. We heard from all of those guys because it's a different quarterback situation now that Doty is injured and out for the relative near future, at least with the midfoot sprain. The way that he's choosing to approach this, I thought of about exactly what you want to hear from your starting quarterback.
It's really been positive. Obviously, it's not the best situation. Obviously, it's not an ideal situation. But like I said, it's football and stuff like that. It's definitely get injured. You just got to kind of take it from this. It's definitely allowed me to kind of take a step back from the physical side of it, look at it from a mental standpoint, step back and watch the film, preparing for each school there, some of the scouting stuff. Just dive into play a little bit more, doing what I can from more of a mental side of it, to make sure that I'm ready to go and I'm prepared for when I can step back out on the field. And it won't take long.
was his answer when asked how long would it take for him to be ready to go. Once he's physically ready to go, how long will it take him to get kind of back in the swing of things, ready to be the starting quarterback for Carolina? Patrick, saying the right things is one thing, and you got to give a kid credit, especially from Luke Doty's perspective in his limited experience on the field. Only played 2.5 games, just being a true sophomore. To me, kind of wise beyond his years and really good at being a leader, one of those guys that you look to as a team spokesman type. And I think we just heard that. The question, I guess, is how much do those words translate on the field, and where do you feel like Luke Doty can and will be for this team here in the foreseeable future?
Well, I mean, right now, those words need to just translate to the rehabilitation process. I mean, I think we're a couple weeks away. We had the question, I think, going into this hour or the end of last hour, do you think that they'll hold him out an extra week even if he's healthy? And I kind of think that the answer is yes. I would be very surprised at this point if Luke Doty's ready for week 1. But, I mean, I think he just, to be a leader, to translate that, he just needs to attack it every day. I mean, he needs to get better in the film room. He needs to be leading all of the – not leading the meetings, but, I mean, he should be ready to answer every question. If they pull up a film of Eastern Illinois and they say, hey, what are we looking at here? He should be able to answer every question. I just think he needs to attack that every single day and be supportive as a leader. Like, the on-field, we'll see what happens. I mean, it could be game 2. It could be game 3. It could be week 1, but I wouldn't rush him back. But, yeah, I mean, everything we heard from him, I just think he needs to show everyone every single day right now. Like, he needs to be the first one in, getting his work done, whatever it is with the foot, icing it or whatever kind of therapy they're doing. And then he needs to be the last one in the building also doing whatever it is. I don't know what you do for a sprained foot. I don't know if it's an ice heat situation or if it's stretching or what, but he just needs to be working on that all the time.
Let's hear a little bit more from Doty about this rehab process and his approach to it. So Luke Doty's got a bell on the scooter now. He let us know about yesterday. Pretty pumped about that. And I don't think he's learned too many tricks on the scooter yet, and he's planning not to have to worry about it too much longer. And again, to me, it sounds like approaching it the best way possible at this point. And maybe it's helpful that he's gone through injuries before, especially that one that kept him out of the state championship game in his high school career at the end of his senior season. And I think maybe mentally more than anything for someone in that position, a lot of times, that if you're on the cusp of being a starting quarterback for an SEC school going into a season and then that gets taken away for just a freak thing, you get your foot stepped on, I think that can really mess with a person's mind if they're not in the right mindset. It seems like Doty is in the right mindset here. Patrick, what are you talking about? The question earlier, do you think they would hold Doty out if he was ready to go just to give him one more week for that season opener? I guess it just depends on what ready to go is, right?
Right.
And it would come down to a percent discussion. So if he's 85%, you think they might hold him out. If he's 95%, probably not. Is that kind of where your head's at?
Well, yeah, because I think the timeline generally would put him on the early end of the timeline right at week 1, right? Like if he comes back as quick as physically possible, they'll feel comfortable maybe week 1. I would say don't even push it. If that's the very front end of his rehab time, just give him that first week. Like if you can't beat Eastern Illinois, you've got some major problems. So,
but to me, that's not how I see it. I see this more as the chess play of making sure you're ready to go in week number 2 by getting your guy out there in week number 1. If he can go, you get him out there. Now, I understand what you're saying is that if chess piece is broken in week number 2, it doesn't really matter what kind of experience you got in week number 1, and you want to make sure that doesn't happen. I get that, and I think that's all part of being a head coach in major college football right now and doing it for the first time. Man, Shane Beamer gets quite the interesting preseason practice situation heading into the season as well. And it goes all into the decision. And then how that's approached as well from a public perception and explained. I think we saw Shane Beamer face head on yesterday with Zeb Nolan, the graduate assistant, becoming a quarterback and dealing with it and moving forward and basically being who he has told us he would be. And I think you're going to continue to see that with whatever situations present themselves. But this is a bit of an even trickier one with your starting quarterback dealing with an injury and with basically no proven production behind him on the depth chart. How do you handle this thing in week 1, week 2, moving forward? So all part of the intrigue of Gamecock football right now, heading into practice number 11 today. We're headed to our final break here in hour number 2. Hear more from Gamecock football. Let you hear more from the freshman quarterback, Colton Gothier, who I thought was the most interesting guy talking yesterday for so many reasons. He's got a big performance coming up tonight. Hear why, or hear the details and why he's a little concerned. That's coming up next. It's the early game on 107.5 again. But this is why having 3 people in on the live stream, much better than the 2-person live stream. So Patrick has to exit out of his live stream deal on the computer to play something during a break. That's why you're not seeing him for a couple of minutes here, not just that I want to see myself on the live stream. It's a good question, Chris. I'm not even sure which foot it is and why it would matter necessarily. I guess your right foot when you're a right-handed thrower is your plant foot, your back plant foot, right? But then maybe you say, actually, maybe you plant on your left when you throw, so maybe that's what it's called. Just trying to think of Conor McGregor, how he was like planting back when his foot fractured or the ankle went out on him. So I guess you can kind of see it both ways. But I guess, yeah, because he's so mobile as well, I really think they're kind of equally important. I don't think you would put more importance on one or the other. Yeah, that's what I see as the ideal scenario. David in Somerville hit us up on the text line there. How about treat week 1 like NFL preseason, just have Doty do the first series or 2, turn it over to the backups and be sharp for week 2 at East Carolina. Ideal scenario, no doubt. You with David on that one, Patrick? Did you hear what I said?
No. What was it?
Eastern Illinois, week 1, treat it like preseason NFL game. Doty gets the first series or 2, then the backups after that. That's the ideal scenario, I think, assuming that you just march down the field, score a couple of touchdowns, and get them out of there.
Yeah. Mostly Kevin Harris.
Do you know which foot it is for Doty? I don't even know which. And which foot is considered your plant foot if you're a right-handed throwing quarterback? Is that considered your left?
Yeah. Because they say throw it off the back foot is bad.
Right.
Notice he rolled into the press conference barefoot. It's his left foot. It is his plant foot.
York, I read about the kid, BJ Gibson, I think is his name. Virtually no production in 2 years at Navy. He's gotten on the field, but didn't record any stats. So, again, a lot like Zeb Nolan, I think, in that you to have him in the program. Be very surprised if we see any kind of production on Saturday. I think he was a defensive back, if I remember reading that correctly. Patrick, you got it in front of you? His size is interesting. I didn't see that of note.
6'4", 209.
Oh, yeah. But defensive back, right? So you're just saying just because he's tall, I'm guessing maybe? Maybe you're thinking Israel Mukwamo, but to me, I always go off previous production in these transfer situations, man.
It's weird transferring to the Naval Academy junior year.
Right. Oh, did you see there was a guy who got the special exemption to play in the NFL, got cut by the Bucks?
Yeah.
Brutal.
People are so strange. Like, I saw that news I saw Rappaport or whoever it was say that he got the exemption, and then the whole replies is people being like, okay, so now he's got to pay he's got to pay the U.S. government back for all those college years, right? It's like, what? That was the entire thread of replies, was just like arguments about that. I was like, why are you
gotta stay off social media.
Why are people doing that? Also, he's still going to do his service. It's just deferred.
Right.
But that's always like a thing that people say about people leaving service academies is, oh, so when's he going to pay school back? What did it cost you for the kid to go there?
Our taxpayer money, man. I paid for that scholarship. I paid for that schooling.
Give everybody half a cent for it.
All right, what are we doing here? I'll do another reader real quick, and then we'll do 14.
All right, you're up.
Tee it up with us 1 week from this Friday. Charwood Golf Club, 14th anniversary 1075 The Game Golf Tournament presented by Integrated Media. Love to have you out there. Going to have you tee off for a chance at $10,000. Buford Lending going to be our hole-in-one sponsor. Grand prize worth $10,000. Also have all the par threes. A chance to win a big prize if you knock one in. Going to give away a trip to Kiowa for the winning team. You can register right now as an individual or as a four-person Captain's Choice team. 803-755-2000 is the number out at Charwood. Panera Breakfast, Little Pigs lunch included. Going to raise money for Camp Cole again Friday, August 27th, 10 a.m. Charwood Golf Club, 14th anniversary 1075 The Game Golf Tournament presented by Integrated Media. Hole-in-one sponsored by Buford Lending. You got trophies courtesy of the Trophy and Awards Center over on Sunset Boulevard in Lexington. Right now, Rookie Talent Show coming up tonight, probably about 12 hours from now, I'm guessing. The newcomers, the Gamecock football, will have the talent show. A lot like Hard Knocks. We've seen those things in NFL camps and the whole thing. The true freshman.
Colton Gothier been in the conversation here recently in the quarterback mix and might be the most notable performance of the night. He's planning on playing guitar. I guess one of those Les Paul guitars that cost him a couple $1,000, maybe that one. Planning on performing tonight in front of the team and a little bit leery about it.
We have a talent show tomorrow for the rookies. So I got something planned. We'll get up there during one of the meetings and play guitar for the team. So I got to figure that out, what song I'm doing, because tough crowd. You know, they'll start throwing bottles at you if you, like, seriously. I mean, I've heard stories of dudes who are like you better be good, because if not, you're gonna get hit in the head with a water bottle, like legitimately. So.
That is a great representation, I think, of the 15 minutes that Gothier was talking yesterday. And Patrick, I don't know if you are a fan of Gamecock football, you couldn't be entertained / encouraged about having Gothier part of the program after listening to some of his comments. Obviously, that just kind of the tip of the iceberg. But him talk about how he wants to progress and coming in. Best thing he's ever done, he said, was enrolling early and getting the spring ball and the way he's looking at practice to try to figure things out. And this is the time for him to learn and grow. I mean, I was really impressed with what I heard from him, and then the guitar thing, just the icing on the cake, I think, for a lot of Gamecock fans.
Yeah, showed a little personality with that. And there's always a line for a kid about being too cocky or too confident, and then also admitting that you have a long ways to go. And I think he walked that perfectly, which is really impressive from a kid who, as mentioned, he's only been here 7 months.
Come a long ways, but still a long ways to go was how he summed it up succinctly. Glad we could do that for you at the end of hour 2, hour 3 on the way. Yeah, a little sunshine today. How about that?
It was really loud last night.
The sunshine was really loud? Rain?
No, the thunder and lightning and
Yeah.
rain, yeah, and wind.
Tornado warnings all day, all over the place. Brutal. I hadn't seen reports of damage anywhere, fortunately. Sorry, I can't resist a dodgeball hammer reference here. Wasn't it hammers or was it wrenches? Was it
You can
wrench?
dodge a wrench. You can dodge a wrench. You can dodge a ball.
Dummy. When you type in dodgeball hammer, nothing pops up, dummy.
What's a dodgeball reference in reference to?
Somebody just tweeted me, if you could dodge a water bottle, you can dodge a defender.
Ah.
Joey. Twitter. I just sent him the wrench back.
Or you just pull the Drew Lock and drink it. Catch it and drink it.
Still one of the greatest things I've ever seen on the football field.
Drew Lock lit it up in his first preseason game.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Who's he throwing to?
Jerry
Judy,
Judy.
is that right? Who besides Judy?
Cortland Sutton's a stud.
SMU, yeah, he's a Justin Stepp guy.
Yep.
Stepp might have named one of his kids Cortland.
After Cortland Sutton?
I think so.
Interesting. They also
Otherwise, it's awfully ironic.
They also drafted KJ Hamler, the small super athlete from Penn State. I don't know if he plays or not. Tim Patrick. Jerry Judy is a stud, though.
No doubt, man. Well, and now apparently was reading an SEC preview article on The Athletic about that's where some of the writers are thinking the SEC Offensive Player of the Year might end up coming from, and just the next Alabama wide receiver.
John Mechie.
No, they were talking about another dude that hasn't even played yet, I don't think.
Interesting.
Another dude or two. Just where they are, right?
John Mechie's Canadian. I hope he does well. Jamison Williams, Slade Bolden. Not Slade Bolden. He's the little guy. Could be Jamison. I mean, LSU's got the same thing going, and Keishon Butte might be the best receiver in the conference.
He's the one that set the record, right?
300 yards in in their second to last game, I think. Maybe last
So
game.
ridiculous. Yeah.
True freshman.
Nuts.
And I know Arkansas, Treylon Burks is getting a lot of buzz as one of the top receivers in the draft.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So that's what we got to do. Maybe that'll be that Wednesday or Thursday, September 2nd or 3rd. Is that when that is? No, 1st or 2nd, I think. We gotta write down some preseason predictions. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, we got to do a whole day of them, basically.
Yep. Hold everybody accountable. Maybe that's what we do, like, as part of the show. Your one preseason prediction you're most confident in. And then maybe your one wild card, right?
Yeah, I mean, we got to do our over-unders for the SEC teams.
For total wins.
Yep. And we got to do our, like, division winners and playoff.
Well, to me, that's such a boring one in the SEC. You go out of Alabama and Georgia, you are taking a chance.
Yeah. I might not put Alabama in the college football playoff.
I love it. Anthony. You talk about a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think Gamecock Larry needs to be the founder and commissioner president of the 107.5 Hall of Fame. No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, it would probably just be like the Gamecock Larry Listener of the Year award.
Maybe just the Gamecock Larry 107.5 The Game Hall of Fame. What we should do is get Love Chevrolet to agree to have it named the Gamecock Larry Love Chevrolet phone line. That's what we need.
Yeah.
Then we did have Ron from Lake Marion on track to have the text line named after him, but he's fallen off on us.
That's why Gamecock Larry's a different breed every day.
Right.
Yeah.
87 years old. Yeah. We definitely have listeners go through cycles. Like you did on the live chat, right? Some guys come in and dominate for a little while and then no consistency, man. Consistency is the key. That's where Gamecock Larry distances himself. And Anthony, you're right, man. Hall of Famer. No doubt. All right, any sound that we haven't played that you want to get to specifically here off the top?
No, what we haven't played is the two Jason Brown things. Doty talking about Jason Brown and Jason Brown, and then we haven't played Colton Gothier talking about enrolling early and him talking about his own arm talent.
Okay. So we'll start again with number 3. How about that?
Yeah. So 8, 9, and 11, 12 is what we haven't played.
9, 11, 12. All
8,
right.
9, 11, 12.
We'll do 12 quickly after 3. Then we'll do 9. Then we'll do 8.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
3 off the top, 12, 9, 9 and 8. Hopefully I can lead you there pretty obviously. And what time are we doing? 8:40 40s?
No, the first break. We're gonna do 2 breaks.
Gotcha. All right, hour 3. Here we go.
This is not a situation where we're like desperate for quarterbacks. It's not like I walked around the corner to the Budweiser distributorship and went to the loading dock and asked if any of those guys played high school quarterback, or went down to 5 Points and was at a bar last night seeing if anybody was a high school quarterback. We're not in that situation. We've got somebody here on our team that can help us and increase the competition in the quarterback room.
Shane Beamer talking about moving Zeb Nolan from graduate assistant coach to quarterback on the field in his last year of eligibility that he had not planned on using. Welcome into hour number 3. That leads Trey to ask the question on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, 803-404-6100. Good early morning, yo. Just want to know, Trey says, if Shane had been looking for a quarterback in 5 Points, what would have given him a heads up that someone had arm talent? What do you think, Patrick? Surely that would have been a bartender delivering a can. I guess it's pretty much bottles, but there might be cans. Delivering it across the bar. Yeah, you're not going to throw that. Maybe it's someone as a bar back working and just seeing the work ethic, but that doesn't mean arm talent, right? It's a great question. Maybe it would be, I believe, someone out in maybe the common areas of 5 Points, if you could just throw a football over the fountain, something like that, with a little touch, put the proper touch on it, hit your target.
I mean, if you see a really strong fist pump, in like the club type bars, that could be it.
I see what you're saying. Speaking of arm talent, let's hear what true freshman, 3-star recruit from the state of Georgia, who's now in the mix to earn some playing time early on that Luke Doty is out a couple of weeks and questionable for the season opener. Colton Gothier speaking yesterday, talking about his arm talent.
For me, my strong suit, as I said in the spring, was my arm talent. I feel like I have one of the best arms in the country from that standpoint. But like I said, none of that matters unless I go out there, I know what I'm supposed to do, I can read defenses, and I can execute. That's what it comes down to. But I feel like I have the tools necessary to do that. It's just chipping away at it every single day.
Yeah, that was Colton Gothier, expected in about 12 hours from now to be ripping it up on the guitar in the Gamecock Rookie Talent Show, the newcomer talent show that they've already made sure that Zeb Noland has to be a part of. And as a hunting and fishing guy, got to play golf with him in that Birdies for Beamer deal. I am extremely curious about what Zeb Noland might do for the talent show. Patrick, if you had to get in a newcomer talent show for a team, what would you go with? I was thinking, one day we did a little whistling, name that tune. I might have to go whistling. Maybe doing it. I can also juggle a little bit. Maybe that's all I got. Otherwise, I don't have a lot to choose from when it comes to talent. What about you?
I would just sing a song because I would have the energy. I mean, that's what for and like rookie for our first road trip for the lacrosse team here. All of the new guys had to sing a song on the bus. And that was the thing. They had a little like portable stereo that had a mic plug in, and every newbie had to sing a song. So I did that and I crushed it. And I have sung at multiple 5 Points bars. I've sang at the rooftop of whatever that building is by the stadium. I've sang live many times, and I'm not good at it, but I have the energy, especially if I get a couple drinks in me. And that's really all that matters in a situation like that.
That's a good point.
To impress like your groups of friends in a talent show, all you have to do is try, and they'll be fine. You can't go up there and just that's the problem that people do is they get nervous and they go up there and they're trying to be Mr. Cool that doesn't embarrass themselves. You have to be willing to embarrass yourself. Colton Gothier, I don't think is going to do that. I think he's actually just going to rip the guitar and people will be impressed.
Right. Well, that's the thing. If you think you're a lot better than you actually are, and you're not giving enough energy, that's a big problem. The ginger.
You see it on Hard Knocks. That's like one of the best parts of Hard Knocks every year is the rookie talent show, and there's always Mr. Cool Guy rookie that goes up there and says, "I'm too good for this," and let me just monotone sing a song, and everybody boos him. Doesn't work out that way. And the best is usually the guys that are really good at impressions.
Right.
Those always kill, and clearly that's going to be the route that Jason Brown goes. If anyone's seen his Bobby Boucher.
That's what he said he was going to go with. He let that one a little preview out in his media appearance yesterday. Let's hear more from the transfer from St. Francis, looking to get on the field in FBS level football for the first time and seemingly in line to do it right now if Luke Doty is not available in that season opener. Here's Jason Brown from yesterday just talking about what the start of this preseason camp has been like from his perspective.
It's been hectic. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on here every day. Like we're here for a long time every single day. We're here for about 12 hours, I believe, and it's just nonstop football. But this isn't for everybody. I mean, you got to love football to be able to do this, and I do. So it's been hectic, but it's been fun. I love it just because I love the game of football, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Down about 20 pounds since the spring game where he was up to 245. Needed to do that to increase his mobility. Shane Beamer says he's done that. Luke Doty also giving his perspective on the transfer from St. Francis and Jason Brown. Here's what Doty had to say about his fellow quarterback.
I mean, if you look at him now compared to, when he first got here, it's like night and day. And you can tell not only that has changed, but, his confidence level, the way that he steps on the field and the way he plays, he just continues to get better each and every day. And that's been awesome to see during this fall camp. I'm excited to watch him and continue to watch him grow and help him in every way that I can.
That's Luke Doty talking about Jason Brown. Again, I mentioned it yesterday that it was going to be interesting not to necessarily hear the words that these quarterbacks had to say, but how they said it. And so to not comment on that today, I think would be I would be missing something or leaving you guys hanging there, not follow up on that thought. I was impressed, as impressed as I could be, I think. To me, you could tell Jason Brown not necessarily comfortable in that media setting necessarily, but that translates 0 to being comfortable on the field and being able to play. But what I took away from watching and hearing Luke Doty, Jason Brown, Colton Gothier, and Connor Jordan all speak, to me, I do feel like there is a genuine affection in that room for each other, that the guys do get along to the degree that you need to get along to be part of a team. You know, Frank Martin always says that's the biggest misconception in sports, that you have to be buddy or friends with everybody to be a good team. That's not the case. And I'm not trying to convince you that these guys are going to be the wolf pack and heading to Vegas sometime soon. But you do have to have mutual respect and be a good teammate. It didn't seem like that's going to be an issue at all with this group. And I think what we heard from Shane Beamer yesterday about making the move from Zeb Nolan and grad assistant to quarterback, and how it was taken by the team, how it was kind of digested and received positively kind of across the board, I think is a sign of that as well.
Yeah, well, the guys have to get along because, I mean, the quarterback is certainly the most collaborative room on the team. I mean, all these, I'm sure Nick Muse is helping out Jaheim Bell and showing him little details, or you can do this when you're coming out of your break to help you out. And I'm sure the secondary or the linebackers are talking about certain things like responsibilities. Hey, if they're showing us this, look, you got to do this. But there's just so much that goes into what the quarterback's job is that, I mean, for most teams, the backup quarterback is basically just know the game plan in and out, watch all of the film, and whatever the starting quarterback is struggling with, when he comes to the sideline, you be there and ready to tell him what you saw. And like, there's just, they all have to be on the same page and helping each other out, because you have to see the whole field at all times. And I think that's going to be pretty much what the deal is. I wasn't expecting anything different. They all seem like really nice kids, and they're going to get along great. I don't think it could have gone much better from a Gamecock fan's perspective yesterday.
Well, throwing Zeb Nolan in the mix is interesting for sure, because he had not been in the quarterback room. He had been helping Justin Stepp with the wide receivers to carry on Joyner, kind of confirming that. And now Joyner's role in all of this as well is very interesting. He was honest. He said, I don't know how this is going to affect how many snaps I get at quarterback. From Shane Beamer's perspective, he explained, he used that to explain why he ended up making the move. And maybe this will help you understand kind of his reasoning for doing something that Troy says he's never heard of. Yeah, we hadn't heard of this either. A coach, a grad assistant, and Dan hitting us up on the text line saying, after hearing this, can't help but wonder if there's going to be a chance that an awesome movie could be made from the season. Certainly it could present itself for that, for sure. But in reality, I think most of us see this as more of a program practice kind of solidifier, as opposed to something that we're going to see materialize on the field on Saturdays, with Zeb Nolan no longer a graduate assistant, but becoming a player and using his last year of eligibility. I wanted to let you hear from Shane Beamer more about especially how it affects to carry on Joyner, who has been moved to wide receiver full-time, been part of that quarterback room in the past, but Shane Beamer wants to keep it that way with him at wide receiver.
I don't want to make the carry on Joyner play full-time quarterback, and I'm not going to ask Colton, Connor, and Jason to be the only 3 quarterbacks that we have out there, and 1, risk having their arms fall off because they're throwing the ball so much. 2, we do a lot of work, as you guys have seen, on 2 different fields, where we've got half the team working on one field and half the team working on the other field, meaning there's going to be multiple quarterbacks on both fields. And when you only have 3, that's kind of hard to do. And wanted to get to help those guys out from a physical standpoint. And at the end of the day, one of the core values of this program is competition. And this is an opportunity to continue to increase the competition on this team and in the quarterback room as well, and then have a chance to make the team better.
To Dan's point as well about the possibility of this becoming a great story. I mean, you talk about competition. Zeb Nolan knows all about that, right? Brock Purdy is the guy who ended up getting the playing time and kind of beating him out at Iowa State. And then the competition, as the story goes, was really close with he and Trey Lance at North Dakota State. And Lance obviously got that job and went on to parlay that into being number 3 overall pick for the San Francisco 49ers. And then Nolan got his chance as the starting quarterback for North Dakota State last year in the spring and didn't end up keeping that job towards the end. I think that's why he thought the coaching future was the one to go to and not to use that last year of eligibility. Well, that's changed now. And he'll have the chance to do that. So you can look at this in many different ways, like you said, Patrick. You can look at it as this was an emergency situation. We've had people call it desperation, as Shane Beamer anticipated, right, when he talked about that yesterday. Says that that's not the move. This is more just a move to increase the depth, give them more options, and really a numbers thing, go from 3 to 4 quarterbacks. That makes a lot of sense to me. But you can also see it as a guy who's already competed against big-time college quarterbacks. If Zeb Nolan doesn't get on the field for the Gamecocks this year, I think you see that as a good sign for the guys who we've already heard from in this segment, and Jason Brown and Colton Gothier, that those guys can play and they have bright futures as well, especially Gothier being the true freshman.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing if you make a desperation move. I mean, your starting quarterback is hurt. You don't want to move your wide receiver who has experience at quarterback back and confuse him and get him pulling too much in different directions. I think they're desperate for somebody to throw balls in practice and carry some of the workload so that their guys that are actually on the verge of playing don't get worn out and don't hurt themselves by throwing too much. I mean, it's kind of a desperation move, but I don't think that means it's a bad thing, and it doesn't mean it's going to hurt the team in any way. I think they'll all be fine. Clearly, this was after he had already practiced, right?
That's right.
The press conferences. So I think maybe they watched him out there and said, yeah, we're going to be okay. Our jobs are not in jeopardy. And that probably made them feel a little bit better than if the coach came out there and just started throwing absolute lasers for 2 hours. That would have maybe changed the vibe a little bit. But yeah, I think it's going to be okay.
Dogman says talent deficiency. That is where we are. I think that's a fair assessment in a lot of ways, maybe from a depth perspective, because I mean, you go through any program in the country that's made a coaching change. Look up at Tennessee with 40 transfers basically up there for Josh Heupel. And there are just positions where you need more quality depth. Got a guy who's got experience right there in a GA hat, and Jim and Goose Creek wanted the definition of a graduate assistant. It's basically an assistant coach, typically a young assistant coach, starting his coaching career and getting paid in a scholarship to go to grad school. That's basically what it is. You're getting paid to get your graduate degree, which is what you need to be a full-time college coach, typically. It's just part of the resume builder, and it's the way the system of college football works these days. That's how you start. You get on the staff, you make a connection. You start as a grad assistant, just like Shane Beamer did at Tennessee with Marcus Satterfield back in the day, and then you go from there. Am I the only one who feels like Zeb's experience puts him ahead of Connor Jordan and potentially competing for the starting job? That's from Trey. I don't know. It's a good question. Certainly the experience you would think would put him ahead of a walk-on. We just haven't seen Connor Jordan play. He didn't speak for that long. Yesterday, he seemed like maybe the most soft-spoken or quiet personality in the quarterback room, but we really have no idea since we haven't seen. On paper, I would think that's pretty fair, but the question I would have is if you rate him number 3 right now, or number 4 if you count Luke Doty, behind Jason Brown and Colton Gothier as well, how big are those gaps? Because the gap had to be relatively significant between Doty and the other quarterbacks to name him the starting quarterback to begin with, coming out of the spring. Now the question is, all right, it seems like there is a legit quarterback battle right now for that number 2 spot on the depth chart when Doty is in the mix at number 1. And then how far is the gap between 2, 3, 4, and 5? We won't know that until we see on Saturdays this fall. And that might just be one quarterback. Luke Doty might be back for that with a sprain. What is it? A midfoot sprain, he called it yesterday, and getting back to the rehab and confident and resilient. He says one of the things, his resiliency, one of the things he prides himself on, saying all the right things yesterday. We'll continue to let you hear more of what he had to say. I'm interested more in what you have to say as well right now. How do you kind of translate where Gamecock football is right now? Jacob on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. What I put the most stock in for Zeb is that Shane doesn't want the quarterback's arms falling off. I think Zeb will be the scout team guy to rest the others. And that's kind of my thought yesterday as well. Another anonymous texter's thought was how Beamer can find a quarterback in 5 points, a guy who can throw darts at the dartboard. Didn't think of that. I would be concerned, though. We were talking about arm talent, not just accuracy, right? That's an accuracy thing.
Not too many bars in 5 points have dartboards either.
I think that might be a liability thing. It's probably smart.
Yeah, they're packed too deep normally on any given night that can't have darts flying around there.
And let's take you to break here. Let you hear from Colton Gothier a little bit more about his plan tonight for the talent show for newcomers to Gamecock football. Trey says Justin Tucker, the Baltimore Ravens kicker, singing Ave Maria in a full tux is still the best as far as football talent away from the field. If you guys haven't seen Justin Tucker sing, I mean, this guy is a legit opera guy.
Yeah, he's got an album.
So if you are looking for some entertainment today around a computer or your phone or something, you haven't seen Justin Tucker bust that out, I certainly recommend it. Tonight, it's going to be the guitar that Gothier, the quarterback, busts out. That's his plan, and he's a little nervous about it. Let you hear what he had to say here, and then hear plenty more from Gamecock football when we come back. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
We have a talent show tomorrow for the rookies. So I got something planned. I'm going to get up there during one of the meetings and play guitar for the team. So I got to figure that out, what song I'm doing, because tough crowd. You know, they'll start throwing bottles at you if you seriously. I mean, I've heard stories of dudes who are like you better be good, because if not, you're gonna get hit in the head with a water bottle, legitimately. So.
Your 24/7.
Oh, we're feeling pretty good around our house these days, too, with the start of school, allowing us to breathe a little bit, get the kids out of the house, even though number 2 is still home sick after day number 2 school. And we got the 16-month-old as well. So it's not exactly peaceful and quiet and nice and clean around our house, like always. The popsicles were out last night. Absolute mess. Reminds me of how much appreciation I have for Zero Res and the job they've done at my house. Zero Res carpet and air duct cleaning. Been out to my house a couple of times, cleaned my carpets, cleaned the tile in the kitchen and the bathroom, and really refreshed how that looked and felt, and then also cleaned an area rug for us. And really, when Zero Res has left my house both times they've been out, and our house feels so much cleaner, fresher. It feels like new. And that's what they can do for you, especially at this time, maybe when you're getting into the back to school routine as well. The nice, fresh, clean house feel is something to really appreciate. Zero Res can do that for you, and they've got a summer sale going on right now. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, only $119, plus a free hallway when you mention me, Tim Hill. You can book your appointment online today. You can find out all about the separating system that Zero Res uses. It separates them from everybody else. Their powered water system. No harsh chemicals involved in the process. That's especially important to me and my family. Again, book your appointment online right now at ZeroResColumbia.com. Give them a call at 803-262-4020. That's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. I don't think there's a mascot yet for Washington football team. Patrick was just hyping it up. Yeah, DC, that's kind of how I see that. This is what we need from you. Traffic update. Patrick is just zoned in today. Zoned in.
Adding staff at both Lexington and Northeast. 803-520-1069 or email me at scott@traditionsfinejewelers.com. Not just let's see if we can work together. Traditions Fine Jewelers is located at 5134 Sunset Boulevard. Traditions Fine Jewelers, where the Midlands get together.
Hey guys, Jay Phillips from my good friends at Integrated Media Football.
So we'll talk about Holinsky and Tebow again in this segment.
Your home theater bill is nearly a times two. Don't let that happen.
What would you like to hear coming back?
948-827.
We've heard everything but 11 and 15.
Oh yeah, I wanted to do 15 for sure. So let's start with 11, and then we'll get to 15. So I'll do a liner first to lead us into 11, then we'll get 15 pretty quick.
Cool.
That's right. They can do an outdoor setup for you too. Think about watching football while you enjoy the beautiful South Carolina weather. Call 803-948-8327.
Struggling over there? This is the tough part for you, huh?
Well, sort of. And I'm just sore.
Oh, yeah? I'm working?
Yeah.
I hear you. I'm such an old man when I play golf these days. Back.
Yep.
Got it.
Hurricane's commitment to give home buyers more for their money. Smart homes are available in the Great Midlands, Aiken, Orangeburg, Florence, and Sumter. All homes built with smart technology features, innovative design, and energy-efficient materials. Visit hurricanebuilders.com for new floor plans. Join Oliver Gospel on October 4th.
You gonna head out to old Steel Hands on Friday? Oh, you got work, right?
I do have work. It depends what time I wake up.
Right. It's a no good pre-work spot. That's a post-work spot, right?
Yeah. I would be okay going.
Right.
But I do need to sleep as much as possible because I will not be sleeping at all on Saturday.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because she's landing at 10 a.m., so there's not going to be time for me to sleep after work on Friday before I pick her up.
Wow.
And then we got to move her stuff. And when she's only here for basically a day and a half, I'm not going to spend half the day sleeping.
Yeah, you should definitely sleep a bunch tomorrow.
Yeah, my parents are going to be in town tomorrow, so not doing a show tomorrow is actually ideal as well because I can meet them for dinner and not have any issues.
So, Anthony, no big carrot tomorrow.
Yep.
Hope you're going to be able to survive. But we'll try to give you some views of Williams-Brice since we're going to be on location. Travis, I would say very low. Bill's not a big fantasy football guy. And to me, it just gets a little complicated, or it's better in theory than it is in reality, in my experience of doing those kind of things.
I would like to try and do like a Survivor League or something,
Right.
Like that.
That's a great idea. So you got basically one bet that you make, right? Every week?
You get to use one team every time, yeah. So
one team?
Yeah, like an NFL Survivor pool, you can only use each team once. So
Gotcha.
strategy is like, do I try to use a bad team at the beginning and get lucky, or do I just burn the Chiefs in week one and then yeah. I don't know how it goes with college football. I mean, there's so many more options.
All right, you got me here. We're going to do
15?
No, we're going to do 11 first and then 15.
Right now?
Nope. I'm going to lead us into 11 first, all right?
All right, you're up.
What a fun week we got. Williams-Brice Stadium is where we're going to be broadcasting from all day tomorrow, starting with us here on the early game. The halftime show guys will be out there, as well as Heath Klein, telling you all about the back-to-school specials that Gamecock football is going to offer for football tickets, including season opener tickets for $18.01. GamecocksOnline.com/tickets. The place to go. Plenty more details coming your way from Williams-Brice tomorrow. Some special guests as well. We'll have Marty Smith on with us at 8 o'clock. Marty, a Virginia guy, just like Shane Beamer. They go back a long ways. We'll get into that. Marty is just an entertaining guy to talk to no matter what, but college football in his wheelhouse, and looking forward to having him on at 8 o'clock tomorrow, ESPN's Marty Smith. So that's tomorrow, and then Friday, going to be all about the Gamecock Central preseason party at Steel Hands Brewing over in Casey. Halftime show guy is going to start us off over there at 1 o'clock on Friday afternoon. Then Heath Klein will also be live on location there. Steel Hands Brewing in Casey. The pregame officially starting at 4 o'clock. The locker room stories for former Gamecock players will be at 7 o'clock. Saw where Ryan Brewer will be part of the festivities. And then Patrick Davis and the Midnight Choir going at 8:30 for the Gamecock Central preseason party. Again, that's Friday. This Friday at Steel Hands Brewing over in Casey. Right now, I wanted to let you hear more from Colton Gothier, the quarterback for the Gamecocks, the true freshman, talking about his progression since coming onto campus, I guess, 7 months ago.
Like I feel like I've been here 3 years almost. And that's why like sometimes I got to take a step back and it's like, dude, you only been here what 7 months. The way that I perceive it is I've come a long way, a really long way, but I still got a really long way to go.
This is a guy we wouldn't have heard from if it was the no freshman speaking rule that has been in place for Gamecock football in the last several years. And we said it a few times this morning, Patrick, but there's just something about Gothier's personality that was easy for me to listen to for 15 minutes. And I thought was really intriguing, interesting in multiple ways. And maybe it was kind of his confidence combined with the big picture approach, talking about how he feels like he has one of the best arms in the country. He said arm talent. That's the only thing I kind of begrudge him for. Only thing I didn't like about just using the phrase arm talent, that's a pet peeve of mine. But other than that, when you say something like that, you're clearly a confident guy. But also just talking about his progression and how he has a long way he's come a long ways, but he's got a long way to go and still trying to digest everything, and how he described the difference in speed between the high school game and coming up to SEC football, and how it's starting to slow down for him in some ways, and how he's taking chances and trying to figure all that out in practice, Patrick. I thought it was really intriguing. To me, maybe the most intriguing quarterback that Carolina has on its roster right now. And as I say that, man, there are a bunch of them, aren't there? I mean, starting with Luke Doty, a guy who played wide receiver and really thrived at wide receiver a little bit in high school, and then had a heck of a high school quarterback career, and now seems to be the front runner and a guy who separated himself from the pack, but now he gets injured and has to battle back from that. You got a transfer up from an FCS program and Jason Brown and a redshirt senior. You got Gothier there as a 3-star guy coming out of the state of Georgia, kind of slept on, I think, by a lot of fans and experts. Reminds me of how Connor Shaw was kind of thought of coming out of high school. And then you got the story of yesterday of Zeb Noland taking off the graduate assistant coach hat and putting on the pads and jersey and using that last year of eligibility that he didn't think he would use after not finishing his North Dakota State career how he wanted to there, and thought it was time to move on to coaching. He had transferred there and lost out to Trey Lance, now one of the best quarterbacks in college football, certainly one of the best prospects to come out in a while. And then before then had gotten beaten out by Brock Purdy at Iowa State. So, I mean, one of the most interesting stories in all of college football, you could say there. But even with that, Colton Gothier is still a really intriguing prospect, I think, in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I think he was the most intriguing to listen to talk. He just he just kind of had that nice balance of being confident, saying, "Yeah, I think I have one of the best arms in the country, but also I can't make every throw, and that's why I figure it out during practice. Try and make the throws that you might not be able to get away with in a game, and learn from it. And then also, I enrolled early and I got a good jump on everything, but I don't know everything. I'm still young and I have a lot to learn. I have a long way to go, but I am progressing." So he just struck that delicate balance as well as you could ever expect any 18-year-old freshman to do before 18-year-old freshman before seasons even started. Like he pretty much nailed it. And then obviously Zeb Nolan, who's gigantic and only played behind NFL quarterbacks basically because Brock Purdy will get drafted next year. And then Jason Brown, who, I mean, Colton Gothier says he feels like he has one of the best arms in the country. If you listen to other people talk about Jason Brown, Gothier might not have the best arm on the team because apparently dude just got an absolute hose. So it's all fascinating and kind of all contingent. It will be something if we spend all this time talking about the quarterback battle and then Luke Doty's just ready to go week one, crush Eastern Illinois, and that's that. And we just wasted so many segments on talking about a quarterback battle that amounted to absolutely nothing.
Well, I have to think that even if Doty's ready to go, we will see in the Shane Beamer era more backup quarterback time on the field than we've seen in previous years here in the most recent years. Steve Spurrier was notorious for getting another guy on the field and almost too much. And then Will Muschamp went the other way. And it seemed like it was going to be Jake Bentley's job until Jake Bentley wasn't an option anymore, even with Michael Scarnecchia coming in and playing well and the whole thing. I think that's been a frustration from the Gamecock fan perspective. And then when you saw Mike Bobo take over as interim coach, he's the one that put Luke Doty into play instead of Colin Hill last year, even though Hill had transferred in from Colorado State with Mike Bobo. Fascinating quarterback situation. I don't know if there's anyone in the country that is more interesting. And what you're also seeing at this time is trying to get information about the football team through players and their own evaluations of other players or what they're going through with the offense. I thought what Gothier had to say about the Gamecock offense was certainly one of the more interesting things said yesterday, and something that I think we can start to learn a little bit more about what we're going to see in this huge question mark that is Marcus Satterfield and the Gamecock offense. Here's how the quarterback, the true freshman quarterback in Gothier, had to say about it. Here are his thoughts about what this Gamecock offense is and can be.
Because our offense is, so diverse and complicated, we're able to do whatever we want to do with it. It's not like, okay, we're air raid, that's it. Sorry, nothing else to it. You know what I mean? It's like there's so many different things that we can do that makes it easy for us to, whoever's in there, we're going to play to their strengths because the offense covers everything.
Didn't realize there was so much background noise going on in that one. But that was him actually hitting the mic when he was using his hands to talk at the same time about the air raid offense. Maybe it is how freshman quarterbacks see every SEC or big-time college football offense, and it's just that much more involved than their high school offenses. And maybe this is just a theory versus reality thing from Gothier's perspective, but I think it was notable because we just know so little about it from reputation and never having been an SEC offensive coordinator to have a little bit of an insight of how at least a quarterback that's been introduced to this offense for the first time sees what will or could happen for Carolina football moving forward, Patrick.
Yeah, I mean some offenses aren't that much more diverse. Like see Mississippi State from last year was pretty embarrassing that they just continued to bash their head into the wall when it was clearly not working and just only throw the football into 8-man coverages game after game, play after play. So, I mean, we know that the offense is going to be a little bit diverse, but him mentioning that it's not just pure air raid, I guess is a good thing. You weren't going to do an air raid offense when your best players are your running backs. So you're not going to go like a 90%, 10% split pass run ratio. So, I think it's probably a lot for him to handle. I think any good college offense would be that way, but a lot of the college offenses are far more simple than we'd like to believe, and they're only kind of getting more simple as the RPO becomes really a major staple of every offense, just because you give the quarterback the option, tell him one simple thing to read and let him go, and you don't have to do too much. But the diverse offense, I think, should make South Carolina fans feel good as long as the quarterback is able to pick it up. If you put too much on their plate, then that's really not going to help. And even if you dumb down the playbook on game week, if you're wasting all the time in the offseason teaching them all these different things that aren't actually going to go into a Saturday's game plan, then you're wasting a lot of time to iron out all the details of the plays that you actually are going to run. So there is a delicate balance to that, but I think we'll kind of see as the season goes on how it plays out.
Mentioned quarterback situations, how fascinating it is right now for the Gamecocks. Fascinating to follow other situations out there where they're doing the opposite of what Carolina's doing right now, where the starting quarterback has been decided a while ago, months ago, and now it's an injury to Luke Doty and the starter that is causing the more interesting stuff behind it. And what happens with other guys is the question, I think. Or a guy like Ryan Holinsky.
Northwestern names its starting quarterback yesterday. And it's not the South Carolina transfer that gets the nod. It's the Clemson transfer, and Hunter Johnson named the starting quarterback for week number 1 for Northwestern. The fact that that's how they put it, I thought was interesting. QB1 for week 1, I think, was the social media tweet I saw, and the picture of Hunter Johnson attached to that thing. So I don't know if I do know. I know that this is not necessarily saying this is our guy moving forward for the season for sure. This was the guy they picked for week number 1. And I would be very surprised if Ryan Holinsky doesn't get significant playing time this year for Northwestern, but also slightly surprised that he didn't win the job here. Patrick, what about you?
So
I guess we'll see. I don't know. I'm surprised Holinsky didn't win the job because in terms of what how he's actually played in college, Holinsky has been far more productive and impressive as a college quarterback than Hunter Johnson has.
Does it change how you look at Ryan Holinsky or the situation from the Gamecocks and their quarterbacks last year, with Colin Hill beating Ryan Holinsky out? Luke Doty ended up being the starting quarterback at the end of the year when Ryan Holinsky could have been.
Like, does it validate the decision to not start Holinsky from the beginning? Not really. I mean, we all off season we kind of knew that Colin Hill was going to be the starter. That was all of the buzz, and that was what we discussed on the show. That's what we were expecting. I don't know. I think Holinsky did kind of get a raw deal being thrown out there too early, getting hurt, and just kind of curbing his learning curve. I can't take hardly anything from last year, though. So I think Holinsky's still got a ton of talent. I think he's still going to play this year. I just think maybe they're more comfortable with Johnson to start because he's been in the program for 3 years now and he's a senior and all that good stuff. So no, I don't read hardly anything into it. And the fact that you said starter for week 1, and it didn't feel like any sort of long-term decision was made, and it appears like it was a close battle all offseason. Even Northwestern beat writers had been speculating that Holinsky had the edge in that quarterback battle. So I don't read anything into it, and I think we'll see Holinsky.
How much is the question right now? I think certainly not, at least as the starter in week number 1. How these things end up playing out is always fascinating as well. Remember, from the Gamecock perspective, Tommy Beecher's been a a week one starter before. It was Connor Shaw as a sophomore, I think, that started and played basically just the first half. And Stephen Garcia took over back in the day for the rest of that season, I believe it was. So don't read too much, I would say, into just the starting quarterback for week number 1 in college football. The Luke Doty situation seems a little different when you take over at the end of your true freshman season and start the last 2 games, and then you're named the starting quarterback coming out of spring moving forward, and you've also tried to play some wide receiver at the same time. But now that he's got the injury, that situation is certainly much more interesting for the Gamecocks. And we'll get one final word on that when we come back. That conclusion of the show coming up. If you'd like to get in a final word, 404-6100 is the number. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game. It's 2012. All right. I'm going to have to check that. I was thinking it was 11. I think that was Clowney's first game. 2011. Gamecocks, East Carolina. Yeah, that was 2011. Close. Nice job, Hope. Hope's all over it as always, as usual. Tim Tebow being done is also typically would have, I think, more discussion on the show, but that's a national show topic if I ever heard one. And we talked plenty of Tim Tebow through the years. So not too disappointed when we're not talking about him too much today. With so much going on with Gamecock football especially. And from our perspective, the ones that always complain or always did complain about the lack of access to players and coaches and not hearing from them enough. If we didn't play a bunch of that today, then boy, are we hypocrites. And yeah, hear you, Mark. 2-game lead already. Oh, nice. Gonna go see him play against the Yanks on Monday. That's good stuff. Now I wanted to get over there and see them play this year with my 8 and 6-year-old, but I don't think that's going to happen. And then after taking them to the Myrtle Beach Pelicans game, and the 6-year-old was much more interested in the bounce house and hitting the wiffle ball. I think it was probably the right move. Not doing that this year. Maybe next year. Maybe, yeah. The 8-year-old would go and watch every pitch, but I don't think I can take him and not his brother. Just a different experience. What? That doesn't make any sense. You bet 2 people $50 that he wouldn't make it, but you wanted to pull for him? So you bet against yourself? Let's say a head heart thing there, Troy. Good for you. $100 coming your way. Good advice, Al. Well, I believe that, Anthony, for sure. A lot of things that would keep us from watching the game. That would probably, I don't know how that experience would be. I know it would wear me out for sure. I don't know if it's worth it at this point. And I know it would cost a ton of money. It's probably what it comes down to. I'm just cheap. I can't tell you the last major league game I went to, by the way. Patrick, what about you? You been to a Nationals game anytime recently in the last few years?
The World Series year, I went to a game. I didn't go to any last year, and I haven't been to any this year. I haven't even been home during baseball season this year. I've only been to Camden Yards and Nationals Park. I've never been to another stadium.
In Camden Yards several years ago might be the last big league game I went to. I was visiting my sister up that way. In a while.
Yeah. Sacred Park, Harry Grove Stadium, the 2 minor league stadiums I've been to. That's it.
Not a big baseball guy, Patrick.
Well, I mean, I'd like to go to more stadiums, but I've never considered making a trip around baseball.
All right, we'll do number 3 here after I read a little liner. Cool.
You're up.
A week from this Friday, going to tee off at Charwood for the 14th anniversary 107.5 The Game Golf Tournament, sponsored by Integrated Media. Love to have you out there. You'll have a chance to win $10,000 if you make a hole-in-one. That's sponsored by Buford Lending. Also going to raffle off a pair of tickets to the Gamecock season opener, give away a trip to Kiowa for the winning team. Person, Captain's Choice event. You can register as a team or individual. Just give Charwood a call, 803-755-2000. Panera breakfast, Little Pigs lunch included, Friday, August 27th, 10 a.m. 107.5 The Game's 14th anniversary golf tournament, sponsored by Integrated Media. That hole-in-one sponsored by Buford Lending, by the way. And we got trophies out there, courtesy of the Trophy and Awards Center at Sunset Boulevard over in Lexington. When I played golf, one of the last times I played golf, it was actually Zeb Nolan was driving me around in the cars. We were partners in the Birdies for Beamer golf outing out at Wood Creek Farms not too long ago, and then he can hit it. Not a professional golfer. I think he says his older brother is a scratch guy, so that's who he was always comparing himself to. I would say he definitely has a chance to break 80. Good player. Didn't lack confidence. Could really hit it a long ways, and was talking about how his best buddies with Trey Lance and their time at North Dakota State. And then this is a guy that's come from Iowa State as well. So not your typical graduate assistant who Shane Beamer basically told him to take off his coaching hat, put him on the field yesterday. It is now part of the Gamecock quarterback room, and some depth. Here's more from Beamer about his perspective on that move.
To the Budweiser distributorship and went to the loading dock and asked if any of those guys played high school quarterback, or went down to 5 Points and was at a bar last night seeing if anybody was a high school quarterback. We're not in that situation. We've got somebody here on our team that can help us and increase the competition in the quarterback room.
Pretty simple move, I think, from that standpoint. When you hear it put that way,
might see it a little differently. I'm going to be really fascinated to see how this all plays out, Patrick. I think my takeaway today was this is something that helps in practice. And if you end up seeing Zeb Nolan on the field, I don't think it's necessarily a good sign for Gamecock football unless it's in mop-up duty and a big win, especially in game number 1 against an Eastern Illinois team that's struggling in the FCS level. But you never know, man. You never know. What's your big takeaway from today?
That Luke Doty is inevitably going to start week 1, and we just wasted a week talking about the backup quarterback position.
How dare you? Is this because your Washington football team hasn't come up with a mascot yet? I think it is. Oh, way to let it breathe at the end, Patrick. Nice job. Nice work. Nice work. Especially getting all that sound in when you got it in, man. Thank you.
No problem.
Need anything from me? You good? I think Sorry, let me go ahead and sign off here before I start talking about internal business. Hope, thank you. You too. Travis, appreciate it. You guys have a good one. Appreciate you being a part of the show. DC from start to finish. Had a boy.
Well done.